The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Superspeedway Cup Super Duels at Daytona. We're here in Speed Weeks for the Superspeedway Cup Series, and we're getting ready for two 50-lap races to set the grid for the Superspeedway 500. The pole and the second place position on the front row have been set. I'm Rachel Whiteford, and I'm joined by the man in that second place tonight, and that is Rod Flag.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Looking forward to calling this first duel with you, and yeah, really excited to be starting in the front row with Mark Jorgensen Jr. You know, he got me by about 6 thousandths of a second, but you know, certainly in plate racing, that's you know, a couple of feet. But just excited to get going here and calling the race with you.
Absolutely so, and let's go through a little bit of information for the viewers on what's going to be happening tonight. Of course, we have had that solo qualifying. Yourself and first place have been set. Super Duel 1, which is starting in just a few moments' time. This is, like the Duel 2, 50 laps in length, and this will set the odd positions in Duel number 1, and Duel number 2 will be setting our even starting positions. So people will be sandwiched between each other in the final running order for the Superspeedway 500. And this first one, of course, 50 laps, both of them 50 laps. But we do have bonus points, of course, Rod. Top 3 finishers in each duel receiving bonus points, including first 3 points, second 2 points, and third 1 point. So everything to play for in these races.
Yeah, a little incentive on the line tonight. You know, it's not obviously the big points when it comes to next week's race, but certainly enough to go out there and try to earn not only your starting position but a little bit of points. So, you know, kind of looking at the lineup, you know, again, Mark Jorgensen Jr., he's a multi-winner in this league, and you know, certainly there's some heavy hitters below, you know, starting in this duel as well with you know, Josh Hanner, Jay Riot, Chris Passini, Frank Bashila, former champion, Shane McEachin. So a lot of big names in this lineup there. And another, you know, name I want to bring up there is Rodney Wofford. He was expected to go for the pole, but unfortunately couldn't get his car through tech.
Unfortunate for him, of course, but we do have about another bunch of drivers in that event. We have Ray Sanders, Tanner Mann, Scott Saunders, Jared Haggerty, we have Kelly Dahl, Tommy Hall, Rodney Wofford, as you mentioned, Dwayne Cooper, Scott Warren, and Gary Champion to name but a few other drivers who will be starting here tonight. And that will be coming up in just about 2 minutes' time. Drivers completing their last moments of practice on the track before they will start out on this 50-lap race. And well, track conditions looking optimal at the moment. It's partly cloudy, 78 degrees Fahrenheit, with track temperature 104, winds 2 miles an hour from the north. So good racing conditions here, of course. Daytona in the daytime here from Duels this year, so that's going to provide different grip levels.
Yeah, it's going to be probably a little bit different on tires. You know, they're running a 70% fuel cell, so they're definitely going to have to pit potentially multiple times, you know, depending on how things work out there with cautions. But you know, definitely with the, you know, there's a few people on that list that you mentioned that are not going to be here tonight. They're listed on the starting lineup. However, they're unfortunately absent. However, you know, we're still going to have, it looks like, at least 13 drivers here starting this first duel, maybe a little bit more in the second duel. You know, it should still be very competitive. But with that smaller field, I think it's going to end up being probably, let's hope, to be a less caution-filled race, as they're able to hopefully sort it out a little bit there, not have as much urgency to try to get to the front of the field.
That certainly is the case, of course, and as you mentioned, cautions will be a critical component of this race. Drivers here, well, this isn't the 500. This is setting your position, so at the end of the day, people can race for a little bit more than usual, perhaps, and give it a bit extra, shall we say, risk, but at the same time, you want that starting position. It's a long race, and you want to start in the front.
That they do. They definitely want to be up there.
They certainly do. In fact, we are going to the starting grid now with our drivers for today's race. We'll run through that starting order in just a second's time as everyone forms up behind the iRacing safety car there, that roof RT12R car, which could be gone soon, right, actually, with Porsche coming to iRacing.
Definitely looking forward to having the Porsche out there is obviously a little different, but I think as the 24 Hours of Daytona is coming up there, it's a little fitting. I think we're all looking forward to doing some racing in that car or in the road car of your choice here in a few weeks.
It certainly will be. Of course, we'll run through that starting order now. Starting on your front row for tonight's Duel number 1, Super Duel 1, is Mark Jorgensen Jr. Alongside him, Ray Rittenauer second. Row number 2 will be Josh Hanna and Ray Riot. Row number 3, Chris Bassini with Ramon Evans. Row number 4, Frank Priscilla III, Shane McKeechin. Row number 5, Gary Champion, Scott Warren, Dwayne Cooper and Rodney Woodford on row number 6. And on his own at the back will be Jared Haggerty. The cars all rolling off now for that pace lap behind that safety car. We're going to get racing for 50 laps here tonight, and it's going to be a fantastic one. 50 laps of action. This is setting, of course, your odd starting positions for the Superspeedway 500. Odd starting positions, and that is, of course, the inside line. We are basically setting the running order here, Rod, for the entire inside line, and that is such an important one to be on.
Yeah, and the one guy who's got nothing to lose tonight, Mark Jorgensen Jr., he's starting on pole for the first duel, but no matter what he does tonight, he's going to be on pole for the 500, so this is a race where he's going to go out here, do everything he can to try to dominate. Again, if he wrecks out, no big deal. He's back in the starting position, number 1 in next week's race, so that's the car I want to look at. He's always been known to be very aggressive. I think he's going to do everything he can to stay out there, but if something happens or if he gets damaged, I don't think it's going to bother him, but we'll see.
We certainly will. So unlike the real thing, if he has to go to a backup car, there'll be no problems for him. Still starting on the pole for the Superspeedway 500 and starting out front tonight, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Ray Rittenauer second on your front row here for Super Duel number 1 at Daytona. That safety car will take the long left-hand turn down pit road, and we are under the command of Mark Jorgensen Jr. as he watches for the flag on the starter's stand, and green flag is out. We are racing at Daytona.
And it looks like Mark Jorgensen gets the advantage there right on the start there. The inside line is looking pretty good there. A little bit of a bump there from Josh Hanner to Mark Jorgensen Jr. And looks like Hanner's able to move his way into second.
Certainly is a good scuffle to get down to that inside line early on by drivers from halfway down your field and backwards, as the outside line is struggling. 87, the 51 and the 83 cars, they're dropping back a little bit. That's Ray Riot, Ray Rittenauer second, and I believe also Ramon Evans. All of them trying to fit down into that inside line. Ramon Evans getting down there. 2 cars left on the high side. 87 and the 51. They're going to tough it out there for a bit, Rod. They're just going to try and hold on, but it's looking like a lost cause already. There's a gap opening up behind them. They're probably going to drop down, as in fact Jay Riot does just that.
Yeah, Ray Rittenauer second got left out there, and we saw this last season. In last season's Superspeedway Cup Series, we ran multiple different chassis. We saw the trucks, the Xfinity car, the Cup car. So we didn't see as much action in the Cup car as you would have thought. But when we did run this chassis, we saw exactly that. The inside line on the start has the advantage and tends to get you into the right position. But as races start to get, and those tires start to wear off, you start to see the high line start to develop as again, it is a little bit slippery on the bottom, and the outside line is able to get some traction. So just very interesting to see. Again, Mark Jorgensen Jr. able to keep that lead, but again, it's interesting to see here. We got the top 4 maybe potentially breaking away a little bit.
They are as well as the 18 and the 00. That's Gary Champion's Dwayne Cooper. 2 cars on the outside now. Going to try and make their way towards the front. See if anyone's going to pop out and give them a hand. Number 6 of Jared Haggerty looks like he's tempted to go with them, but right now just hedging his bets. Pull out and try and make a move with those 3, but we can see him dive back in soon. That front 4, as mentioned, are pulling away at the moment. Mark Jorgensen Jr., Josh Hanna, Chris Bassini, and Frank Priscilla III That front four just pulling out that gap. Everyone being very tentative right now, Rod. Just playing it safe here. Nothing to race for in these first 45 laps. Gonna try and save this for a little bit later on.
Yeah, it looks like the only person right now is making any sort of maneuver is Gary Champion in that high line there. He's got a little help from Dwayne Cooper and Jared Haggerty, and that's all you can really do when you're at the back of the line is you try to do everything you can to maybe get something going there. But everybody's pretty content staying in the low line, and just gonna be interesting to see how these tires wear off and see kind of how pit stops are going to develop, because it looks like they're going to be pretty conservative tonight. But Mark Jorgensen Jr. doing what he's known for doing, leading laps, and I know a lot of those teammates behind him there with Josh Hander and Chris Passini. They won't stay there. They are not going to let Mark win this race. They do not have any alliances, and then Frank Bashila right behind that McFlurry Ford. Boy, oh boy, he's a past champion. I know he can do something. But look at there, Shane McEachin, Jay Wright, potentially maybe making a move here.
I think they saw this group at the back making a move here. Of course, the 18, 00, and the 6 making something happen, but some cars out front tried to pop out there. The 28, Shane McEachin, he's come out as well. He will be with this group as they reach him. This will punch him towards the front, although they might go round the outside, leaving him in a hole. They're doing just that right at Daytona. Cars all over the racetrack, high line, low line, who's going where? And right now the 18 has made the mistake. He's up in that hole on his own on the outside lane as he goes backwards like a rock there, Rod. Some tactical errors early on seem to have backfired there for Gary Champion.
Yeah, but Chris Passini, he's going to go ahead and try to make that move. I really thought he was going to wait for Josh Hander, his teammate, to try to make a move. But here go, Chris Passini challenging now for the second position. They have some momentum with Shane McEachin getting that big push on the outside. Gary Champion back there, he just didn't have any help. He got pushed 3 wide. But, again, as things change, it's very quickly there. Chris Passini had that momentum, but now the inside line starting to get a little bit more momentum back as, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Josh Hander, Frank Bashila III looking pretty good in that outside line, unfortunately, not yet ready to make a move.
Of course, big factor here will always be that side draft, Rod. Of course, talk of viewers, very close, pulling out there in front. That was the number 94, Frank Bashila III, coming out just ahead of the one of Chris Passini. Very close there as they're going to make a move towards the front here. But just tell our viewers really quickly as they're pulling up alongside your lead now. Big momentum here running through 1 and 2. That side draft, they're getting so close to the cars on the inside line. It's not for intimidation. They're doing that to steal the airflow.
Yeah, you have to do that to get in momentum, especially here in the Monster Energy Cup car. You have to do everything you can to get that side draft there so you can get the momentum, just exactly like Frank Bashila III is doing right now. He is using his championship skills to challenge for the lead with Mark Jorgensen Jr. But again, Mark seems to just have a little, jumps right in front of Frank Bashila, and it almost looked like he was going to wreck there, but that was tactical. Mark Jorgensen Jr., that he made that move to block the outside line. He knew where the momentum was at. He knew he had to make that move. Otherwise, he was going to lose that lead.
Tactical drop back down to the inside line for Mark Jorgensen Jr. there, doing what he needed to do, dropping that lead draft now from Frank Bashila III as out comes the 2 of Josh Hanna. He's going to try and make a move towards the front now in that number 2 DuPont Chevrolet. Pulling up alongside your leader, Mark Jorgensen Jr. now. He's lost that opportunity to pull up and hold on to that commanding position. Right now, it's going to be too wide for the front of your race as cars starting to make that outside line work a bit harder here, Rod, as things are moving forwards.
Yeah, Josh Hanner is trying to challenge her. It's going to be interesting to see if he does lead that lap. I don't know if he's going to do it. It looks like Mark still got him, unfortunately, so Mark still has led all the laps in this race. But boy, oh boy, when we look at this race, and look at Frank Bashila. Smart move there. He knew that he didn't have Chris Passini behind his back bumper. He knew that he needed to go to the bottom line there. But boy, oh boy, I mean that battle. You can just see that this Cup car doesn't get the best reputation for being as racy as some of its counterparts in the Xfinity and trucks. But boy, oh boy, it's putting on a pretty good show here, and I'm excited so far. I mean, look at this 2 wide racing in the Cup car. Are you kidding me?
This is exactly what we come to Daytona for, of course. 2 wide racing here in the Superspeedway Cup Series in our Super Duels. Oh, contact!
Oh, contact! Oh my god!
Big contact as we do have cars in the walls. Around we go. Caution will be flying here at Daytona for the first time on lap number 10. We're going to go back and we're going to bring this one to the start of the tri-oval. And the start of what went wrong here in the first Super Duel. And that was contact from the 00, actually, I believe, at this point. 00 car there of Dwayne Cooper comes up, tags the 6 car of Jared Haggerty. Haggerty gets a big wobble, but manages to hold on to that one, Rod. Huge save, but gets in the outside wall. And it's the avoiding action by the 83 car of Ramon Evans, which causes our problem here. And, well, there you had it, our first big caution.
Yeah, it all started there with Dwayne Cooper. He came up on the 6 of Jared Haggerty, and they looked like they were going to save it, but it looks like the 83 of Ramon Evans, he was just kind of looking for a hole, and unfortunately with the cars a little bit sideways, it brought out the caution there and caused the spin to happen there with the 00. So unfortunate. Looks like they tried to do everything they could to save it there, but too many cars, too many different places, and going into turn 1, that's not a fun place to be.
Certainly is not. Of course, that tri-oval, probably the most dangerous part of this racetrack, Rod. Of course, lowest banking. So these cars at their loosest in that tri-oval, which does mean this can happen and happens there more often than not.
Yep, and the one interesting thing is they're not yet in the fuel window to make it all the way. So that it's gonna be interesting to see who comes down pit road. Will Josh Hanner give up the race lead? Mark Jorgensen Jr. was very very good early on, but again, we saw that two wide racing, saw the momentum happen. So I guess as we approach pit road, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Certainly is. Of course, we know they can't make it to the end from here. Of course, we are running 70% fuel. We know on a full tank, this is about 30 laps or 32 laps or so on a tank of fuel, I believe, Rod.
Everybody's
so this is too early, we think.
I think it's too early. If you're somebody in the back, maybe now's the time to get up front.
Certainly could be a good opportunity for someone to stay out, but nobody has done that. Everyone down pit road for 4 fresh tyres and Sunoco race fuel as everyone will get into their pit box. The race off pit road will be the key here. Mark Jorgensen Jr.
Josh Hanner missed his pit.
He did indeed. Josh Hanner slid through his box as he will drop, I believe, Chris Bassini on 2 tyres and a 51.
Yeah, almost everybody was taking 2 tires there except for some of the folks in the back, and so that's going to shake things up a little bit. I don't think they anticipated that happening. It definitely took took our race leader by surprise.
2 tyres, of course, a good safe option here with really Superspeedway's not really wearing those inside tyres, so a good opportunity for track position. But we look back at that caution, Rod, and what happened in this one. We thought, it's very easy to perhaps blame that 00 or the 6 car, but in this case, it was impressive hold by the 6 to keep it in a straight line for as long as he did.
Yeah, especially being in a tri-oval. Don't underestimate that banking. There's that it's only banked 18 degrees in that tri-oval, and if you end up getting loose, it is not an easy task to try to keep your car under control. So when I saw Jared trying to shake that thing back and forth to try to get it straight, he was doing everything in his power to make that happen. So unfortunately, again, with somebody trying to miss that rack there, I don't think it's anybody's fault there on the, on the avoidance anyways, but, and just unfortunate there that the 00, had to come up there in the tri-oval. Just bad place.
Sunny airs, of course, and don't forget, folks, we did mention just before this race went green, the Porsche coming to iRacing, and Rod mentioned that 24 hours of Daytona. Do not forget, the Raw before the 24 is coming next weekend. You can take part in that here on iRacing. Of course, that's a 2.4-hour solo driver event. I believe that's the MX-5, the Mustang, and the Kia Optima GT cars. So that's going to be quite a fun event. You can part up to date with what's happening there. But right now, of course, this is LSRTV. We're covering the Superspeedway Cup Series. This is Super Duel number 1, setting up odd starting positions. I have to try and remember that myself. Odd, not even starting positions here. So the inside line being set in this race, and right now it's Mark Jorgensen Jr. out front, Frank Basilis the third, Chris Bassini, Jay Riot, Josh Hanner, Gary Champion, Shane McKeechin, Ray Ritnow the second, who is coming now after some minor repairs, Scott Warren, Dwayne Cooper, Jared Haggerty, Rodney Woodford, leaving pit road, and Ramon Evans. So all our cars at the moment, Rod, they are still running. So it's all to play for.
It looks like Ramon Evans looks like he took probably the brunt of that. Unfortunately, he was the one trying to avoid it, and that's I'm sure he's kicking himself there for being a little too aggressive there on the wreck avoidance. But he's currently 2 laps down. But hopefully, with the waiver rounds, he'll be able to maybe get his laps back before the end of this race. But what I'm looking for right now is we got interesting here on the start. We got again Mark Jorgensen Jr. started on the pole for the 500 next week, and we got again past champion Frank Bashila III coming off of just having his first baby. I think he's ready to get up here and race, get away from mom and the baby.
Green flag is out, and he does just that. Frank Bashila III, new father, on the outside line now with Mark Jorgensen Jr. And we're racing again at Daytona, lap number 12 now. And bit of side contact there between Jorgensen Jr. and Bashila III as they head into turn number 1. And Bashila III will just drop back into that outside line. 3rd position now, falling back with no real support for him. He
Same
had one chance.
Same exact thing we saw on the start is that inside line is powerful on the restarts there. If you do not have somebody on your rear bumper on that outside line, you are going to get just snaked all the way back. And so hopefully Frank can maybe find a hole there in front of Scott Warren, as he will. But again, Rachel, same thing we saw on that start of the race. It seems like the inside line has that advantage on the restarts.
Certainly is. He jumps in behind the Dark Horse Racing number 2 machine of Josh Hanna. And that 94 McFlurry car will head into the inside line in a nice holding position now. He's got 35 laps to get to the end, so plenty of time as the entire field now running in single file. Everyone doing just what they have to do to make it to our next stopping point. Really, we are going to be expecting that we'll have to come down pit road one more time here, Rod. We said it's about 32, 33 laps on a full tank. This is 70%, so we're expecting perhaps 25, 26 laps.
Yeah, the fuel window, it's right around there. It's 26, 27, 28 laps, really depending on where you're at in the draft. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we definitely need to get to lap 22, 23 to think that maybe we're safe or to get in that pit window. So it just really depends. But yeah, definitely going to need one more pit stop moving forward.
Certainly looks that way, as out front it's Mark Jorgensen Jr. in a safe run up in that Nationwide Chevrolet. Behind him, the number 1 Chevrolet Dark Horse Racing Machine of Chris Bassini. Behind them is the Best Buy 51 Ford Fusion of Jay Riot. Josh Hanna behind them in the number 2 machine. Frank Bashila III, Scott Warren, Jared Haggerty. Scott Warren actually making a move on the outside. That's not actually, that is, I believe, the 83 car of Ramon Evans. He's dropping back to the rear. Of course, 2 laps down at the moment. He will slot in line behind the traffic. He wanted out of that situation. I think he's hoping maybe for another caution here, Rod, and to get some wave rounds.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's going to be tough with a shorter race. I mean, longer normal race. Maybe next week. Maybe thereafter. Again, this is the only time we run 125 miles all season. I think maybe you're in a better position. 2 laps. That's a lot to ask. So, but the interesting thing right now, top 3 that we have: Mark Jorgensen Jr., Chris Bassini, Jay Riot. All 3 chase drivers from last season, so interesting that they have made their way up front and have running so strong. Again, Josh Hanner, I got to run with him a little bit of Superspeedway 500 practice this afternoon, and he was very, very fast. I was actually expecting him to contend for the pole. And then again, Frank Bashila, as I talked about before, and seemed to be talking about all today, is he's a past champion and always a contender. He's actually running a paint scheme that I painted for him there in the McFlurry Ford. So it's great to see that on the track. And then Scott Warren, somebody who was new to the series last season, doing a great job. And look at Rodney Wofford, somebody running P7 right now. He started in the back, didn't qualify, and he is always a contender. He is the league leader in wins all time, and that's 13 total seasons. Daniel's number 7 up to the front before this thing's over.
Well, he's certainly looking to the outside a little bit there, just cooling that engine off on that car, making sure he gets out of line to keep that thing cool, of course. But right now, pulling there behind the number 76 car, Scott Warren, but just cooling the car, running up high. He's going to drop back down again, maybe go for a bit of momentum, try and catch that side draft down the 76, but trying to make it work on his own. Really not something we are expecting to have much longevity, Rod, but everyone behaving themselves now. We've had that one early junk, some early racing for position. Everyone's riding now, and it's pretty quiet here at Daytona.
Yeah, they're definitely minding their P's and Q's. We have a little bit of separation there from 7th to 8th. I think some of that may be that Ramon has a little bit of a maybe wreck race car. They do have one reset in this duel, so I wonder if you don't have a confirmation from pit road whether or not he took that reset or not. You would think he did. His car looks pretty good shape, but I just expected that there wouldn't be that separation, at least as maybe a second that we have there between the 83 and the 7. But look at Rodney Wofford. He's found a way around Scott Warren.
He certainly has. He's made a hole there with the 76 and pushed the 76 to the outside line. That's moving him up a spot now into what will be 6th place overall, if he can hold that spot for now, as 83 may look to the outside line. That is Ramon Evans, of course, but in fact, he's going to do that with the 00 as they will pull to the high side there. Dwayne Cooper at the rear. Not quite decided which line he wants to be on right now, but we might have a run starting to form here to head to the front of this racetrack. And it's being led by Scott Warren and the 83 car of Ramon Evans. We'll see what these guys can do here as up comes the 2 of Josh Hanna. He wants to get involved in this party burst as they're going to head now towards that front line. Momentum starting to build now as a fast car, that very fast car of Josh Hanna getting out there, Rod, and they're moving up very rapidly.
Yeah, Josh Hanna wants to take that Fuji Oil number 2 and that DHI equipment up to the front. They're racing his teammate right now there in the Pennzoil Chevrolet SS. Losing a little bit of momentum there, getting the advantage there is Jay Riot, but then on the backstretch they're getting it a little bit back. But as we saw, after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 laps, we're seeing that high line start to develop. And Scott Warren doing a really good job running up front there. We saw him last season really start to come into his own there, start having some better finishes there towards the end of the season as he got his foot wet as a rookie. And now in his sophomore season, he's he's running looks like P5 right now, so in contending for that dual win. And
certainly is, as we are on now lap number 23 here of 50 in duel number 1, setting our inside line for the Superspeedway 500 next week. And right now Josh Hanna, he's leading this outside line charge up towards the front himself, and Scott Warren and the number 7 car joining in of Rodney Wofford. He wants to be involved in the party now as he will move himself up towards the front. Ramon Evans dropping back here. He's seen this too wide before. He remembers what happened. He might want to try and avoid this one as he has laps down. He wants those wave rounds, of course, but we now have this 3-car group pushing hard there. The 76 car really up on the bumper with the 2 there.
Yeah, one thing I'm for, Rachel, is those cars seem to be pushing up a little bit on the low line, and I wonder if the reason why this high line is getting some momentum is because those cars are getting tight. Remember those 2 tires those people took when we come on the pit road? I wonder if they're regretting that right now. We're starting to see Josh Hanna, Scott Warren, Rodney Wofford get the advantage on the high side, and I think they're able to hold their line where these guys who took 2 tires, they're starting to struggle.
This is exactly right there, Rod. Of course, the middle line / high line there, it's a little bit easier on those tires, so they'll be able to run there for longer. And the guys at the bottom line having to lift really to hold that car down on the bottom now, with the tires starting to wear off as they are really gaining momentum here. Josh Hanna, though, unable to break even really with that number 88 car of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Just unable to really get ahead there. They can't seem to push him out front. This could be the opportunity running towards the backstretch now as they come through 1 and 2. Can they make a big concerted effort here to push? Will they be able to get him past? But they're not close enough to really hook up early. And you've got to get hooked up, Rod, right out of turn number 2 to really make that one work. And they just seem to be treading water at the moment.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you have 4 guys. You got Mark Jorgensen Jr., Chris Bassini, Jay Ride, Frank Bashila. These are all guys who have been with the league the majority of the 13 season. These guys, they know what they're doing, and they've all run together. They know each other. They are veterans in this league. Josh Hanna, same thing. Scott Warren, not so much. He may not have the ability to push Josh Hanna as much as you may think. Rodney Wofford probably struggling a little bit there with some of the inconsistencies of the 76 car in Superspeedway racing. And so, and Josh Hanna gets way high. Unexpected. I can't believe that happened.
That was interesting. We're going to try and actually get a quick replay of what has happened there, as there was no contact that we saw between Josh Hanna and the 76 behind him, but Hanna just can't quite hold on, and perhaps the tyres getting tight there.
And the 2.
Yeah, perhaps it was the tyres. I think he got a little bit tight, and he just pulls up there out of the way as we didn't really see a bobble. Oh no, we did. You're right, we did see the 88 just start to bobble and come up that racetrack as he came off the corner, and a snap reaction there by Hanna, and he goes high, he gets in that sucker hole, and he goes backwards very quickly as a narrow escape perhaps.
You know, an interesting thing I just saw at the exit of turn 4, tire smoke. These cars are getting tight. These cars are being pushed to the issue. You know, I think we're underestimating how tight these bottom line cars are getting, and the tire wear we're seeing tonight. You know, I really didn't think tire wear was going to be an issue coming in, but again, this daytime environment, the afternoon here at Daytona, I think it's actually playing more of a factor than we thought. And you know, sitting here as a driver who's going to be in Duel 2, I love this information. You know, this is going to give me hopefully an advantage going into Duel number 2. But again, all the drivers who are going to be competing with me have the same information, hopefully, and they're watching the same exact thing. So, but again, Mark Jorgensen Jr. has been doing a great job in that nationwide Chevrolet, and you know, still able to hold that low line and give it the momentum. So.
Certainly is, of course, and as a driver for that second race, of course, this is obviously saying that, you know, we see Josh Hanna come back out to that outside line. This is where you want to be. You want to be in the outside lane. You want to stay up there, even if you're perhaps losing some time. You get to run a slightly wider corner, and that's a little bit more gentle on those tires.
It is. And another thing I want to point out, you know, Rachel, is the rules have been loosened a little bit this season. There isn't a bumping in the corner rule. There isn't a 100% rule that we have seen in the past. These guys, it's a little bit more, you know, boys have at it. Boys and girls have at it, I should say. It's really interesting to see. There's guidelines now. The rules are guidelines. They're going to get penalized. There's still a penalty system, but there are guidelines out here. They don't have the restrictions. So the leash has been taken off per se on these guys, and it's really going to be interesting to see what happens as these laps wind down, how loose those rules will be interpreted.
Certainly is, of course, as we get the move towards the front there by that 51 car, Jay Riot leading the outside line right now. 76 car, going to see a green flag pass for the lead here.
I definitely think as these tires, you know, get a little bit more worn as we get closer to green flag pit stops, I definitely think it can happen. The one criticism I have in that outside line there is you have that inexperience with Scott Warren. No uncredit given to him. He's done a tremendous job, but I think that the drivers potentially have some trust issues there. Is he may not be doing enough, and it's making the outside line uncomfortable to work with him. Again, as the season goes on, as they get more exposure, I think there's an opportunity there. But again, we have all veterans at the bottom line in the top 3 positions, and then we have Jay Riot on the high line. So it's tough, and it's just gonna be interesting to see what happens here as we have lap traffic coming up.
We certainly do have lapped traffic coming up right now, and that is Jared Haggerty on the track on his own there, number 6 machine. No damage, so he just got dropped in that draft. He lost the draft there, and this is what it's going to cost you. Nearly a full lap at this stage. We did see a couple of moments ago the 88 car of Mark Jorgensen Jr. He actually came up to block the outside run, so there was a good run starting, and he's looked for it again, but not going to have a chance to move up now as the 51 car there of Jay Riot gets just an overlap with him as you said, the 76 Scott Warren, the unknown factor there in the outside line as they're going to go 3 wide here with that number 6 machine to make that pass. Good place to do that on the back stretch there. Probably the best place for it as 51 pulls up high to try and get momentum into the corner. He will pull down, but he'll still be level there with the 88 car. Not going to be enough for him. And that Best Buy Ford Fusion just can't quite make a break of it.
They just can't seem to get that momentum off the backstretch. They seem to they can get to the front bumper.
We have a huge wreck on the racetrack as we're going to see what's happening here actually, and it was the 2 of Josh Hanna and the 76 car replay up for you on your screens as Josh Hanna just catches the back bumper there. We mentioned inconsistency by the 76 car. he does come down. He wraps himself around the bumper of the 2, and that puts him into the inside lane. Hits the number 1 car there, so inadvertently 2 Dark Horse Racing cars getting involved in that one together, as the 1 car of Chris Passini spears up into the outside lane, and a big impact. And we have a lot of cars involved there. The 28 car as well of Shane McEachin involved in that one. The 2 of Hannah, 76 car, and the 83 car of Raymond Evans. And we know Raymond Evans, he needed to survive that one. He needed the wave rounds, and he has a blown motor, so not his day.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there. It literally looked like the 76 got a little out of shape going into that corner entry in the middle of the corner there. I think Josh Hanner was hoping that the 76 was going to at least save it somewhat. I don't think it was out of control, but there was definitely rear end contact between the 2 and the 76 there, and unfortunately, it's probably on Josh Hanner for making contact with the 76 there. And we preach inexperience on the 76 there, but that could have been prevented with a little bit of a throttle control. And I think to the unfortunate there for Ramon Evans is he doesn't have that reset remaining there, but the remaining drivers do have that reset to work with, and hopefully can make it back on the track here. So.
This is something we've seen, of course, many times, as the drivers themselves will be heading down pit road for service. We know now they can make it to the end from here, of course, Rod. That is important. They will make it to the end here, so no green flag pit stops coming up that we could speak of, as most cars will just take those right side tyres again. No lefts from Mark Jorgensen Jr., so he's going to gamble on 2 tyres for this one to stay out front. Track position, everything at the moment. Jared Haggerty, though, getting his lap back, so he's back on your lead lap. And of course, this is one of those things in, of course, Superspeedway racing that could always be an issue. We did mention an experience by the 76 coming down, but like you said, the number 2 car of Josh Hanna, very experienced Superspeedway driver, should have perhaps seen that overlap and maybe realised, I might just need to breathe the throttle here, just back out to prevent himself from tagging that car, and the whole thing might have been avoided.
Yeah. Being in the seat in that exact situation, when you see a car or a driver in the high line make that kind of maneuver or appear that he's maybe getting a little tight and go a little bit high, it is unexpected, because you expected that driver to keep that steady line in the middle groove and keep with that side draft away that keeps things going. I can't again tell you what Hanner did or Josh Hanner did, but it's bumping in the corner. You can't bump in the corner, otherwise there's going to be consequences. So
I remember the same sort of almost exact same thing happening to me here, I believe in a different series with Tyler D. Hudson, where I managed to wrap myself around his car, and bad things happened. But 3 and 4 always seems to be the trouble spot on this track. 1 and 2 seems to be somehow a little bit safer at this place, Rod. 1 and 2 in the sunlight, 3 and 4 is a bit shaded, so a bit more grip. People seem to move around.
Yeah, as we're seeing wave rounds occur here, and looking at the front of the field there, perfect place to be right now. P1, Mark Jorgensen Jr. has been there all day here in duel number 1, and as we see, those wave around cars come around there, is Frank Bashilla sitting right behind him there in the Ford Fusion, sponsored by McFlurry. Then we have Jay Riot, and looks like Rodney Wofford. And again, I told you Rodney Wofford sneaking up on this field.
He certainly has been, as we did point out that it's teammates ahoy for Mark Jorgensen Jr., as he has between himself, Frank Brazilla III, and Jay Wright, a bunch of teammates there for him, as the 94 car pulls up alongside your leader, and they're going to have a bit of a sign language, perhaps, between those 2 cars on the racetrack. But a friendly place there for the 88. Our producer Evan just pointed out, Cisco just pointed out that the 88 could well have this on lock here, because he does in fact have teammates around him.
Yeah, we know Evan is out enjoying his Monster jamming, or what
he's playing with trucks in the mud. Let's be honest here. Evan is trucking,
as he always does. This time of year, The good news is, look in this field and everything is a lot of those guys got waiver as potentially a little close as far as the rules go. There, the admin in control of this Kurt race there, Frank Bashilla, who's on track. This is not a points race. Per se, there's bonus points on the line, but again, as I was, kind of observing and looking what's going on there, maybe probably wouldn't have happened exactly the same way. But we're getting ready for a restart here, and again, with being not necessarily it's being a little bit of an exhibition, a little bit loosely interpreted rules, not necessarily a bad thing.
Perhaps not, of course. It does mean we get to have a great race with most of your field on the lead lap here, of course. The only difference is Ramon Evans, who was 2 laps down, hoped to get some of those back with a caution. Unfortunately, with his blown engine in this one, he's now 4 laps down. So, looking like Ramon Evans starting last car on the inside line in this race, barring perhaps a meteor striking Daytona, I believe, here, Rod. But we are going to be going back to green this time as the pace car will be pulling off. Lights on the iRacing safety car are switched off now. It'll be making that turn to the inside line, and we do have 14 laps to go this time by the stripe.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Laps of racing.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting here as we got Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Frank Bashilla on the restart front row, and so we see that iRacing pace car come down pit road. We're going to get ready to start here as Mark Jorgensen Jr. accelerates a little bit quicker there.
Could be too early. He crosses the line ahead of your leader, I think. He did. Frank was a little third, crossed the line before your leader. We're 3 wide, back in the pack already as the 76 did not go. And the 6 gets past him, and we have a real shake-up here as the 1 jumps to the outside, around the 87. And things are all cuckoo here in the last 14 laps of SuperDuel number 1 here at Daytona. And that was an interesting start. Are we going to see a penalty for the 94 car passing the line before your leader?
It won't be a penalty unless iRacing gives it to him. So it's not interpreted that way. It's when the green flag falls. If you're still, if iRacing gives you a penalty, it is what it is. So all indications are that Frank Bashilla didn't get a penalty there. There's no conversation about it there. So it looks like iRacing let that one go. But again, it's when that green flag flies, whether or not you're ahead of the leader or not, as far as the way the league interprets it there. But boy, the sense of urgency seemed to really be picking up here at the end of this race. I think people are looking for moves and they're looking for space, and we may not have seen our last wreck here tonight, Rachel.
I don't think we have, as things are getting very busy here as people heading under the yellow lines here to try and hold on to positions, get clean air, and block the pass positions as the 94 goes to the outside line. Here comes the 7 and the 1, and there's 2 of the Dark Horse Racing teammates. Up goes the 28. He's going to go high, he's going to go low again. I don't think he's decided quite where he wants to be on this racetrack, Rod, as we're going to see a big move here as the 94 and the 51 side by side. Of course, they're teammates, so we shouldn't be expecting them to trade paint as much as they are. Actually, touching there as they head through 1 and 2. Things a little close there, perhaps, with Jay Riot and Frank Priscilla the third. 28 goes up the inside as the 94 dropping back now, and it is on like Donkey Kong. And we have front-end damage on the 94 car. This is definitely all change.
Yeah, that's not good. You do not want to get that at this point in the race. That will hurt the aerodynamics on that Ford Fusion of the 94 there of Frank Bashilla and his Ford McFlurry. If I was Rodney Wofford right behind them, if I knew that, he may not know that they're based on visual-wise, but that could hurt that outside line there here as we get to the end of the race. But certainly, there's been a lot of moves there. The WL line, that's still out of bounds. That is not a guideline. That is definitely a rule. So when we saw those guys running, in the end of below that yellow line there on that backstretch there a few laps ago, definitely got my eyes wide.
Looking through wide here. 7 of Wofford goes to the outside now as he's going to look to the outside of the 94. They're going to try and go round him as the 1 will come with him. They're going to drop back in line here in turns 3 and 4. Of course, NASCAR's official ruling for those double yellow lines there, Rod. You are allowed to go below them, you just can't advance your position whilst doing so. So as we have the outside, here comes Jay Riot to the outside of your number 88 leader, Mark Jorgensen Jr. The outside line is formed up, and this is a good place for 94. He can stay. He can gain position. He can go fast when he's got a car in front of him, protecting that damaged front bumper. On his own, perhaps not as fast, but with the 51 up there, his teammate, he could definitely get past your leader if they get this outside line really working here. As 7 behind him, he's lost confidence in that one. He's going to drop down, but he'll come back up again. He's not sure. Rodney Wofford trying to decide what will give him the best chance here, as we are now 10 laps to go.
Yeah, almost contact between the 28 and the 51. They're out of turn 2, and just looking at their 18 and the 51, a little contact. Things are getting very close. The quarters have seems like if we were dealing with a 3-wide track, seems like it's now a 2-wide track because no contact at the 94 and the 18.
Huge save there. Going to try and replay that for you. That was massive. Absolutely.
Did a tremendous job checking up there not to spin around the 94 there, but you're Frank Basile. You know I think that damage is hurting him more than we really think.
Certainly is. Replay up for you on the screen there as up came the 18 Races for Christ, number 18 machine of Gary Champion, and a tag there between the 94 and himself as a huge tank slapper and save for the 94 car. Round they go, and we have a crash. That is the 18 Races for Christ Ford Fusion and the number 1 Pennzoil machine of Chris Bassini. And up comes the 18 again, the second time he's done that, and round the pair of them go in the Armco barrier, and 18 is looking like he's out as everybody else will get ready for a restart. That's the replay showing for you now on your screens. You just see that number 18 car, Brad, he just comes up a little bit, and it's enough just to hook himself around that bumper. And we have a caution, which will be putting us here with a 3 to go, I think. No, 2 to go. We're on a green, white checker to end duel number 1.
Yeah, that 18 just didn't have any room to make that move. Chris Bassini was right there, one, and just not clear. Spotter, where are you on that call? But it's going to set up here a very exciting restart here if we do get a green-white checkered, which it sounds like we're going to get. Even more exciting there. But if I was on the low line, starting P1 or 3, probably in the best position here in that restart.
It certainly is, as we're going to get your field formed up now and head down pit road if they want to, but with this positioning, who would risk coming down pit road from your leaders? I don't think we're going to see any of them come down, as the front 3 do not. The damaged cars, of course, will at this stage, and it is on now. This will be it. We are now getting ready for that green-white checker. Everyone knows what is here to go and here to play for. We've had a pit stop, of course, with 14-15 to go, so they know they've got tyres to the end here, of course, Rod, but this is going to be a very busy restart. It is all go.
Definitely going to be. It's you're also going to see the folks, who are lower in the pack there, and obviously that one car who got damaged come down pit road. But we've seen Mark Jorgensen Jr. out front all night here tonight. So the pole sitter has held his ground, but a guy like Shane McKeechin right behind him there. He started at 8th in the grid, made a lot of moves here, and Jay Wright's been up there all night. And then Jared Haggerty started tail end of the field, is now up in the 4th, avoiding some of that attrition. So really going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here on that restart there. I think it's going to be exciting, but I really think you want to be on that bottom line here on this restart.
You certainly do, of course, as we do know at Daytona, very easy to lead, hard to take the lead convincingly at Daytona. It's easy to get up alongside that leader, Rod, but just getting past, punching through that bubble of air, out front ahead of the leader, so hard.
It is. That side draft comes into play. I mean, I have a feeling a lot of these guys are going to. They don't have a lot to lose. I mean, the starting position here again. There's 25, maybe 30 cars here in the initial qualifying before we get to the next week's 500, and so not a lot to lose. But one bad move could be starting in the top 10 versus starting in 20th to 30th. So it really depends on, how aggressive you want to be. Are you content? Are you up here, Shane McKeechin happy to finish second and start 4th in the 500 or start 3rd in the 500? It really depends.
Great spot. 3rd place, of course, sitting right behind your leader on the inside line. Got to be the 2nd best starting position after 1st. So not a bad place. Of course, you have the unfortunate honor of starting 2nd in the 500. not the best spot to start, is it, of course?
I don't think I'm liking that position as much as I liked it a few hours ago when I got it. I think I think I'm double guessing that there, but maybe I'll have somebody start behind me that has a little bit more, maybe can push me a little further than maybe I originally thought. So, but definitely, looking at these 3 cars, I definitely think Mark Jorgensen Jr. has the advantage here. It's going to be very difficult in 2 laps to make any moves, but the guys behind him, Shane McKeechin, Jay Wright, Jared Haggerty, Dwayne Cooper. I keep telling you, keep your eye on that 7 car. Somehow he seems to make his way up front, and I would say, if there's a sleeper out here who could potentially steal this win, if there's some contact or something that happens, I would say Rodney Wofford.
Certainly is, of course, and we will be right back in just a few moments' time, and we'll be back for that final green flag and the green white checker, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Rachel Whiteford and Rod Flagg here bringing the action. We will be going back to green on lap 47 here. Not quite a green white checker, but we get 4 laps. Still going to be just as frantic as the cars now, heading through turns 3 and 4 for what we hope will be the final time. They certainly won't be restarting. If they make a mistake here, it will end with the next caution flag. Next flag will end the race checkered or yellow. That's all they need to see to cement their positions, of course. On the front row, it's Mark Jorgensen Jr., Shane McKeechin, behind them Jay Wright, Jared Haggerty, Dwayne Cooper, Rodney Wofford, and green flag is out, and it's a great start by the outside line. Shane McKeechin, the number 6 car behind him of Jared Haggerty, Rodney Wofford pushing as well, as they get a good start, the 8-7 as well, pushing them hard. Right over it now, the second. That outside line has to stay formed up here, of course, Rod. They need to keep pushing. They need to make moves forwards.
Yeah, those forwards on the top side there, the 28 Shane McKeechin and Jared Haggerty in the 6, keeping a little more momentum than we maybe thought there. I think that's a little bit of experience there. I really thought they were going to drop off a little bit more, as we're kind of seeing that happen there. But they got an extra lap. They got a little bit more than 2 laps there. Let's hope they can maybe get something together there. But Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Jay Wright, they're on the inside there, have the advantage, and that snuck up Dwayne Cooper right behind them.
Well, it's all dropped back now. The 8-7 and the 7 bailing out of this one. They would rather take an extra spot on the inside line than have to be here, as the 28 goes up the hill, 6 falls back. The outside line's attack has completely fallen apart now on lap number 48 here. Things are winding down, and it's looking like no time left, Rod, to form up an assault on the outside lane. Unless it comes from the inside line, it could be the 51 with a late charge.
Yeah, we got 4 miles to go here on the backstretch, and Mark Jorgensen Jr. just seems to have a strong Nationwide Chevrolet there, right behind right in front of the Best Buy Ford of Jay Wright, and it'd just be interesting to see what happens here as we come to the white flag. Again, Mark Jorgensen Jr. has dominated this duel. Jay Wright looking for something. He's going to need some help. He's going to need those 3 cars right behind him to help him get to the start-finish line here up front.
Certainly is, and the next flag they see will be the white flag, we're hoping. And we really think at this stage it's going to be a 51 car. We'll just make that move, pull out. In fact, he's going to do it now. Goes to the outside of Mark Jorgensen Jr. and soars past your leader. Mark Jorgensen Jr. may be starting at the pole, but he will not be winning duel number 1 as through goes the 51. The 00 and the 94 also following as well. Who will cement this position right now? Can the 51 of Jay Riot hold that spot? He's going to get pushed from his teammate, the 88 car, as the outside line charge he used to get to the front will just crumble slightly. Across the line, and the white flag is waving one more time around, 2.5 miles, and we get a winner in Super Duel number 1 here in the Super Speedway Cup Series. Right now, it's Jay Riot out front of his teammate Mark Jorgensen Jr. 88 car has led all race long, but right now it's at best by
Mark's making a move. Look at
Ford
that.
Fusion. There's contact, and round they go. Big junk on the backstretch. We'll keep with what's going on here. We'll show you a replay after the race as it's side by side for the win. Contact between the two of them, the 51 and the 88 car. Banging fenders here as they will come through 3 and 4 for the final time. And it's going to be the inside line, giving advantage to that 51 car of Jay Riot. Banging fenders with his teammate there. The 88 car is neck and neck across the line. And Mark Jorgensen Jr. will take it by a fender.
Wow.
Mark Jorgensen Jr. with one of the closest finishes I've seen. Oh my gosh. That was absolutely incredible. We're going to go back and show you first a replay of that crash on the backstretch. And then we'll show you a replay of the finish, because that, ladies and gentlemen, was literally neck and neck. We'll go back to that crash on the backstretch on your white flag lap. And it was contact, of course, as 88 came back down again. It was, the 94 car of Frank Brasilla III sandwiched there between the 00 and 7. As the 00 came down, punches him into the 7. The 7 gets turned up, and they all go around. Big junk there. Unfortunate end to their races that pushes them down the running order. And then we see the side-by-side fender bashing race between the 88 and the 51. Side drafted full effect there by the 88 car. And we'll try and get you this clip as they come across the line. But this, Rod, was neck and neck. The 51 went to the apron to try and somehow hold on to that last millimeter of space. But it was too much. That was absolutely neck and neck. I'm going to have a quick look at what's happening at the line now. This was insanely close. If I just swing my camera around, I'm watching this broadcast with, and it's literally the width of a splitter that Mark Jorgensen Jr. takes this one by. And what a finish at Daytona.
That was close. One thing to point out, first thing I noticed when the 51 went down to the apron is he wouldn't have gotten away with that either way. So Mark Jorgensen Jr. would have got the win because 51 went below the yellow line. They're coming to the start-finish line, and that's not acceptable. So Mark Jorgensen Jr. would have been the winner regardless. But we'll have to look here. I think Jay Wright may have a little bit of a potential standing penalty here coming after the finish there. But what a finish! I mean, what a finish to this duel as they came to that start-finish line there. There again, it's paper thin. There is no tenths, no hundreds, no tens of thousands to tell you about. It was that close.
It certainly is, and what an incredible end to this race, of course. Just to kind of debate your point there, of course, Rod, 51 didn't really advance his position below the line. He tried to defend it, but he was passed on the track by the 88 car, so if anything, even more impressive by the 88 machine of Mark Jorgensen Jr. But that does mean he does start on the front row, even if he hadn't already had it locked in from his qualifying result. An incredibly powerful demonstration in Super Duel number 1 here. As we have our inside line set, we're going to go to your results. Mark Jorgensen Jr. starting out front, finishing out front, I should say. Jay Riot will start in 3rd behind him. Behind them in 5th place, it'll be Ray Ritnow II. Back in 7th, Shane McEachin. Behind them in 9th place, Josh Hanna. Behind him in 11th, Jared Haggerty. In 13th place, Rodney Wooford. 15th place will be Scott Warren. 17th place, Gary Champion. 19th place, Frank Basilla III. Chris Passini in 23rd for Dwayne Cooper, and 23rd for Ramon Evans. We will be going to a quick commercial break, folks, before we'll be back in time for the start of Duel number 2. So stick with us, and thank you for watching LSRTV and the Superspeedway Cup.
You know, the straights are unbelievably long. The first time you come here, everyone tells you, you know, you'll be flat out sixth gear for 20 seconds. First time I was here, I lifted halfway down the straight. I didn't believe that it was still going. I was waiting to brake and I was back on the power. And the Porsche curves are extremely fast and extremely narrow, so it's a tricky track. And, you know, every year I've come here, you learn something new every time.
Le Mans is so fast. Wherever you accelerate, you are over 150 miles per hour. Going there, I realized everything you have done before was nothing.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV, and we are back for Super Duel number 2 at this point. But before we go to the track, we have interviews from your top 2 finishing drivers and the 2 teammates who were battering each other senseless in that final lap. We've got first Mark Jorgensen Jr. Mark, of course, on the pole for the Superspeedway 500. Congratulations, but you won Duel number 1 by basically inches. Incredible finish to that race and a dominant performance in Duel 1, suggesting this could be your year.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. Obviously, I got the pole for the 500, which is awesome. So, this race right here, if I ended up getting crashed out, can't really be too upset because, I get to start on the pole, next week. But obviously, when you come out here on a Friday night, it doesn't matter if it's a exhibition race, point race, whatever it is, you still want to come out here and put on a good show and win the race. And I think like the first half of the race, everybody was just kind of staying in line and working together, which was good for me. But yeah, I mean, they kind of ganged up there at the ladder goings and tried to make something happen. They all wrecked behind us, and it was just me and Jay just coming down to the checker, and it was awesome.
Certainly was, and well, congratulations to you. We're going to have a quick chat to, of course, Jay Riot, who came home today in second place. Jay, did you think you'd won?
I made a stupid move. I shouldn't have gone below the yellow. I think I should have legitimately just started turning a little bit more to the right. If there was anybody that I wanted to go side by side with that, I was going to do that with Mark, because I know we could bang into each other a little bit, but I think we could still hold our line. There's not many people in the league that I'd be able to do that with. I thought I had him for a second, but I kind of regretted going below the yellow.
Well, it was certainly very close, but even if you'd won, we did mention this before we came back live, even if you'd won the race, you would still be starting third in the Superspeedway 500, so probably one of the best starting positions on the track, starting right behind the leader. A good spot, perhaps, safe spot for the 500.
Yeah, the race is so dang long, and even tonight, I looked down and went, 50 laps, that might be a little chaotic. And then all of a sudden I noticed we were single file for the first 5 laps, and all of a sudden people are like, okay, this is boring, and start pushing up and making that second line go. And I'm like, guys, we got 13 cars, 14, 15 cars, and we got another 40-some laps. Let's not get too chaotic here. So I like being on the bottom to start at any point. So I think it'll work out for the 500. I'm just going to try to run around, and it'll work out great. I mean, if Mark is going to be in front of me, then that'll be perfect. I mean, we can just ride up there and kill some time. And I know him and I, when we get in front like that, we can pretty much control the field, and it's maybe throw a Brandon Chaburko up there with us, and we'll dictate the pace. We have better pit stops and green flag pit stops than anybody else, so I think it'll work out.
Well, that is certainly what you can hope for, but as we know with every 500-mile race here at Daytona, everything is to play for and nothing goes to plan. But
I hope it goes to plan. That way I can win that race too.
Well, let's be a little bit less cocky, Mark. But
right.
Of course, yourself
down.
and Jay are joining me for the joining me up here in the booth for the second Duel race. So you're going to be helping me call the action in this second one, of course. Don't forget, folks, your regularly scheduled lead commentator will be back next week once he's finished playing with monster trucks. That is Evan Pasoko here of LSRTV. He'll be joining me from next week onwards, calling the 500 and the rest of the season. But, yeah, we don't really like Evan right now, guys, do we? He's off with his Monster Jam trucks and
how old is he?
leaving us all alone
14,
here.
13, something like that? That he's
I think he's about
taking
14.
pictures of, taking pictures
Hey,
of
I thought
monster trucks.
whenever you was a preteen was whenever you watched Monster Trucks. I mean, come on, Evan.
I remember, I did the Monster Jam thing when I was 10 or 11, I think, and I was like, hey, this is really cool. And then, I turned 12 and I went, maybe I'll move on to other things.
Yeah, started going to NASCAR races.
Yes, sir. Or maybe being loyal to your company.
Yeah.
Okay, this is starting to get a little bit too much, guys. Let's just leave him alone now.
Okay,
because,
okay.
Well, we can have some
told you we'd take
mild
it too
poking
far.
of Evan. You can go for it, but let's just be gentle with him, of course. It's not his fault he's Canadian and likes monster trucks at all.
So my question is, what do we do for the next 20 minutes?
I have no
This is
idea, of
gonna
course,
be-
folks. The LSRTV Superspeedway Cup. We're going to talk about anything for 10 minutes. It's
I
10
like
minutes. That is
We,
our session. It's 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
I'm not kidding. Like, we actually got to the point in the middle of the race, and we kind of started just, I don't know. What did I start talking about, Mark?
I think I ended up cutting you off, but you was talking about something about coal emissions. I don't know. I had enough of it. I just had to hit that talk button.
Okay, we do have a question for you boys who just had in now. What is the strangest thing that has ever happened to you, or the strangest situation you found yourself in during a super speedway race? We'll ask this one to you first, Mark.
Wow, the strangest thing. Well, I mean, wow, man. As far as
We'll go for strangest
super,
or funniest or weirdest. Something that's just been a great big WTF moment.
I can't really think of one thing right off the bat. I mean, you know, being in a team speak with Brandon Chaburko, you know, that little rascal right there, you know, he's just all around a funny guy, and you know, he just says some quirky things, you know, and I ain't gonna start naming them all, but you know, just being in the team speak and listening to him, and I don't know, I would say that's probably my funny moments. You know, obviously, you know, I like to come in here on a Friday night and race against a lot of the guys that, you know, I consider my online buddies and this, that, and the other. But, you know, Brandon, you know, he just, it's cool, you know, coming on Friday nights because, you know, he makes it fun. You know, whenever you're down in the dumps, you know, it's like, you know, he doesn't have to try real hard to put a smile on your face, you know, kind of makes you laugh and almost starts, you know, bringing tears to a grown man's eye.
That's a lovely feel-good story. Jay, do you have anything rib tickling?
The problem is, like, is the second he started saying that, I immediately started thinking of, like, okay, what's a story about Brandon Chaburko that I could tell? Because he's created so many weird moments out there where it's gotten to the point, and I know Mark could say the same thing, is like he has said something or he's done something where you just start just laughing uncontrollably, where it's actually like difficult to even control your car, like focus on what you're supposed to be doing, or all of a sudden you're missing a shift because he's talking about something or doing something. I mean, he's the guy that makes policies. He's the guy that makes rules. Like, he will always try something. You know, he'll switch off. You know, it's like in real big time NASCAR where the leader can choose his line or whatever. Like, Chaburko just, like, right before you start, he's like, hey, let's switch spots real quick. And I'm like, okay. You do it, and then all of a sudden you can hear Rod getting all ticked off, you know, the admin getting all ticked off about it, and just creates so much of chaos, and all of a sudden everyone's screaming at each other over the voice chat, and here you're trying to have a serious race about 20 laps in or whatever, and we're already creating policies because he wants to, you know, toe the line.
Yeah, whenever Brandon's in the race, I mean, there's absolutely no seriousness, man. I mean, it's all fun and games, and you're laughing, and I'm surprised the majority of us, whenever we start, you know, laughing, you know, and all that kind of nonsense, you know, we're able to still hold the line. You know, it's just fun, you know, being around him. I mean, he's an awesome guy.
And then the big thing with him is, like, he's got so much more talent than I feel like everybody else in here that he can do that. If he actually takes it seriously, I mean, I think there was one season, probably like season 2 or 3, where he went out and won half the races. You know, he went and he's like, I want to take this season seriously, and that's what he was able to do. He's able to pull it off where he's winning half the races, and you know, that's just how much talent he has. And then all of a sudden, he'll intentionally start from the back. You know, the rest of us are sitting there worried about qualifying, and we'll spend hours trying to get our qualifying lines down, and Chaburko will just be like, whatever, start in the back, and still, you know, P3. You know, if he feels like finishing the race. There's been plenty of times where, like, this is stupid, like, I'm bored, and he'll, maybe make some questionable moves, and, you know, the big junk happens or something like that, and I don't know. It's funny that you asked that question, and we both immediately just like, well, let me think about what Brandon Chaburko does on a weekly basis.
I guess every team needs a joker to throw in there and cause some fun. I'll give you 2 stories from my own. First one, the gentleman who owns Trading Paints, Mr. Steve Lavender, who has a penchant for the recorder. And as I've been in races with him in the past, unfortunately, been times under caution where Steve gets bored and the recorder comes out, and you're sitting there under caution, and suddenly over TeamSpeak, all you hear is terrible recorded music. And it gets a little weird, especially when he tries to do Star Spangled Banners.
Well, if I was in the race with y'all, I'd probably be singing to y'all.
Well, that's always one. We've got the other story I would like to share. It's an embarrassing one, unfortunately. Racing here at Daytona, on the banks with Tyler Lee Hudson. In fact, one of the highlights of my own very, very, very terrible racing career. Of course, being pushed to the front of a Superspeedway race by Tyler Lee Hudson, which was fantastic. Until about 10 laps later, I was behind him and I managed to clip his bumper and turned him into the outside wall.
Awesome.
Embarrassing.
You know, and kind of almost going back, like when you start talking about Steve, when you're in a race with him or just anything with him, like the guy is so smart and witty. Like he's one of those people that whenever he's around or anything that he's involved in, I feel dumber because of it. I go, I'm a pretty intelligent person. Anytime Steve's around and he's talking or he's doing anything iRacing related, he's just so witty and smart when it comes to that stuff, and he's so quick with that stuff, and he just always, I don't know, like it creates such a persona that it's almost intimidating how he just seems light years above me when it comes to thoughts and how quick he is on stuff like that.
Are we still talking about Steve Lavender or Brandon Chiburico?
No, Steve Lavender, man, he's
clearly
the
never
bomb.
been around Steve Lavender when he's drunk then, because it's a whole different animal.
Okay, then I haven't been around him when he's maybe had a few drinks. That maybe is something I'd like to. Okay, like a lot, one,
really?
Two?
I will quote, because he has wireless headphones, okay, which should be warning enough for you. But we're past the watershed in America and in England, so I think we're okay with this one. But wireless headphones, Steve Lavender quite drunk, and there was a moment where we hear tinkling over the headphones.
Oh no!
And it gets worse because suddenly Steve cries out. No, and I'm laughing trying to repeat this on air now. No, Kitty, not the pee stream.
That seems pretty. Oh my god, we've had some interesting moments. Like if somebody's drinking and have the wireless headset. Corey Henry comes to mind. He'll have his share of Bud Lights, and he'll during the course of the evening, he'll be wandering around the house, and you can hear everything that he's doing. And yeah, the bathroom thing gets a little bit. I don't know. It's like I know the Logitech, you can swoop the boom mic up, and it'll mute the mic, and maybe that's a good time to do that.
As a user of them myself, it certainly is. Of course, you do have a mute button also, which is fantastic. Nobody wants to hear that sort of thing. But we do have a couple of moments left now. We're looking at about 2 minutes left on the clock before we head back to racing. We've had our embarrassing weird story moment, and we've, of course, the Brandon Chiburico fan club has been in session. We've heard those stories. We'll go through some picks from you guys before we get ready to head to the grid for Super Duel number 2 here. Entrants in tonight's second duel, or drivers who are actually here for the second duel. We have Dana Osborne, we have Paul Servant, Josh Ball, Brandon Cruz, Monsivais. We have... Monsivais, I've been
That's
corrected by Cisco. Glenn Hedrick, we have Matt Quick, Larry Camp, Corey Henry, Dan Harrington, Derek Walker. We have Joshua Patterson, we have Roger Stewart, Rod Flagg, Brandon Chiburico, and David Law. So, good field of drivers here today. A slightly bigger grid than Super Duel number 1. We will have, I believe, 14 cars starting this race. Any picks from you two?
I'm going the guy that's starting third. This just seems like one of those moments, Josh Ball's coming back into this hardcore, and he's the type of guy that he can just randomly show up and win 2 or 3 races in a season. I think this is a field that he would strive in. So I'm gonna go Josh Ball for the win.
Interesting call from you. Any other choices, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the guy that I'm always going to stick with, Brandon Chiburico. I still think that you got some...
Brandon Chiburico reference, take a drink, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be a wild and crazy race. I mean, I hope he doesn't cause too many issues, but I guarantee once he gets to the front, he's going to be throwing blocks left and right, and he'll definitely put on a good show, though.
Well, we have some interesting predictions. We have Josh Ball and we have Brandon Chiburico coming from the back, perhaps, to get involved in this one. So we'll have to see what will happen. Drivers will be heading to grid in just a few seconds' time, and we'll be able to run off your starting grid. Checker flag is out on the practice session now, so it'll be just a few more seconds and everything will be over as we now head across to that starting grid. Clock is down and we will have our starting positions and we'll run through your starting grid. I've said it about 15 times just to fill seconds, but Red Flag starting out front, of course, second place qualifier. He's locked in for the Superspeedway 500. Starting in second place, so not from the back, is Brandon Chaburko, so a very, very good position for him starting. Derek Walker, Paul Servant also on the second row. Josh Ball and Matt Quick on row number 3. Roger Stewart and Corey Henry on row number 4. Row number 5 is Brandon Crew Monsivals and Larry Camp. Row number 6 is Glenn Hedrick and Dan Harrington. Row number 7, Dana Osborne and Joshua Patterson, and on his own, David Law at the back in that number 19 machine. These cars will get ready to roll off behind the iRacing Porsche roof safety car. They will eventually not have... It is a roof, we know, but soon it will be a Porsche, so I won't get confused. It's a problem I have. But Red Flag now pulling away, leading your field off pit road now for SuperDuel number 2. Of course, this is deciding the outside lane starting positions, guys. So, an important positions, of course, you want to be as close to the front as possible. Starting in the back of this one can be troublesome, but 500 miles is a long way to go, and, well, you can get to the front if you need to. So, qualifying it, not the be-all and end-all, but we'll see these guys having some fun.
We'll see.
Quite interesting.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, it's just kind of interesting. I wonder, with Brandon Chaburko starting second, I think that will cause a bit of a jam. I think usually a lot of people, especially at the very beginning of the season, I think these guys usually have a little bit of an agreement or just kind of the thought in their heads like, all right, let's just get used to the setup as it works here and get ready and take it easy, I guess. Everyone will probably try to move down, but Chaburko's not that type of guy. He's not going to just move down and... a guy like Paul Servant behind him, and I think Paul is going to go up there too. He's pretty aggressive in the beginning.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some side drafting going on as soon as they get down into turn 1 from the number 22 machine. He likes to pinch guys on the bottom. Sometimes, he gets a little crazy with it, but I think he's in a good position. I think he'll end up taking the lead after the first couple laps once they get everything wound up.
They certainly will. As we head through turns 3 and 4 now, 50 laps to go in this race. Starter ready with his flag as the safety car will make that long left turn down pit road now. Leaving the field in the command of second place starter and pole sitter for duel number 2, Rod Flag. And the flag is out, and a terrible start by Rod Flag as Brandon Chaburko takes the early lead in that 22 machine. We'll see him drop down as he crosses the start finish line, maybe. But he's staying high for now, pulling the number 3 car with him of Paul Servant and what looks to be the 89 machine there, as well as Matt Quick. No, the 2 drop down, leaving Quick and the 12 car on the high side of Corey Henry. So 2 cars marooned high as the 82 and the 33 behind him. Also on the high side, Larry Camp and Dan Harrington.
Wow,
it's a mishmash further back, but a big shake-up there in the start, Mark. That's not what we expected to see. Rod Flag with a terrible start.
Yeah, these guys, we've been doing this for a long time, and I think everybody anticipates when that green flag is coming out, but it looks like Rod was either making a sandwich, sleeping on it, or whatever, but, I thought it was going to take a couple laps with the 22 machine to get to the lead. Looks like he was able to get it done before entering turn 1.
That's classic Brandon Chaburko, though, because he was watching the previous race. He was in there with us. He was talking to us. I think he recognized that it was going to get single file right away, so he needed to make a move, and he kind of was creeping up on it. He wasn't just ready even Stevens with everybody else. I mean, he was kind of rolling the start a little bit, and I think it was a combination of just a really good start from the 22, and then Rod it just wasn't a very good start. I think he's getting used to that Pontiac machine down there.
Well, apparently he's a Pontiac, of course. Brandon Chaburko up there in the Pontiac Ford.
Pontiac Grand Prix.
It's a Pontiac
So
Grand Prix. Okay, we'll go with that one. Okay. But,
So he's the
Rod's
sole
gonna be driving
Pontiac guy.
this year. Yeah.
So I don't know if too many guys are going to want to help that manufacturer. We'll see how it goes during the season, though.
It'll certainly be a tough one, of course. 20 car on the outside there with a 48 machine. That is Derek Walker and Josh Ball. Josh Ball, one of your picks, of course, for the win in this one. He's staying up front in that Lowe's machine. As ahead of them, it's the Puma Chevrolet SS there, the 20 car of Derek Walker, leading the charge on the outside line. The Oreo number 3 of Paul Servant on the inside line, back in second place. As we did talk about, Brandon Chirico swapping lines here, controlling this race from the front. And he's looking ready to take that leap out front, try and just control the momentum here on these lanes. Of course, Mark, you're a veteran of Superspeedway racing. Just tell us what it is, the lane switching. It's not blocking, is it? It's you're trying to pull the lane and then use its momentum, right?
That's basically what you're doing. Is you're just trying to time when you're going to jump out in front of that car. Obviously, if you do it too late, you're going to take the chance of getting turned in the right rear. But if you do it perfectly, you can get that person's nose right up against your back bumper, and it gives you a huge surge down the straightaways, and you're able to clear that bottom lane and get back down to the bottom, which is sometimes the preferred lane.
Certainly is, of course. In fact, if that outside line isn't, as he pulls up now, Brandon Chirico up to the top there, and he will pull the 20 car forwards and then pull back down again, killing that momentum. You see the 20 car dropping back there as he swaps down. He pulls the 3 car forwards now and the 10, and he'll control this race from the front, but it's overlapped by the 20 on the outside. Not like he could perhaps hold on at this stage. A bit early here, actually, as it's looking, Jay. 20 car and the 48, no help for them on the outside lane. It's going to be tough to hold that position.
He's going to have to watch it. Chirico and Derek Walker in the 20 aren't exactly teammates by any means. Derek won't tolerate that for very long. He's not the type of guy to go, okay, yeah, keep coming up. I mean, to Derek, that's a block. And kind of like Mark was saying, yeah, Brandon Chirico's trying to pull the lines, trying to run it. Derek's going to treat that as a block. And he's the type of guy that'll say, you block, you pay. So if Chirico continues to do this, Derek's going to shove his nose. He's going to make it 3 wide. He's going to make something happen because he's not going to sit here and try to lollygag back and just take Chirico's crap, I guess, basically. So it's really hard with just 2 cars like that. If maybe the Dana Osborne and the 8 can get moved up there a little bit, I think the 20 and the 48 will have a little bit better of a run. But so, and that's it. The timing of it's so difficult, and the mirrors that are in the car aren't exactly that great. So as Chirico's doing this, I mean, after so many times, eventually you're going to come across the 3 car and you're probably going to turn yourself.
Certainly would be a downside to the situation as we see Brandon Chirico heading back up to the top side again. Wow. As this run from the outside is starting to get a little stronger now as they're joined by the 21 machine of Glenn Hedrick there in the Motorcraft Ford Fusion. Pushing up behind that Lowe's 48 car, and we're going to get these guys to the front. Of course, Motorcraft Ford Fusion's no stranger to being at the front here at Daytona after that fantastic win many years ago, and the driver's name has just escaped me. I knew it, but I've forgotten it again.
Trevor Bain back
Trevor
in
Bain,
2011?
It was 2011, back when they were running the old COT cars, I believe that was, here at Daytona.
Glenn knows how to get it done too. There's a reason why he's running the 21 car. He's ran the 21 for a long time, and he likes the history with it. But there you go. I mean, Derek ends up in front. I'm kind of surprised that was actually able to happen. We didn't see that very often in Duel 1.
There's a bit of a shuffle going on there, of course, as these drivers really not deciding where they want to be at the moment, and this is certainly a bit more chaotic than we saw in Duel number 1. Things very stale and quiet at the front in the first Duel, but this one's seeming a little bit more urgent. These guys, they want a better starting spot on the outside line. Perhaps
they're
leaving all a bit more important as everyone drops the inside lane. That's incredible. As the 22 going back to front with the 48 car is contact.
Yeah, big contact.
Contact with the 48 car there on the outside.
Perfect example. If you get some guys going up and down like that, everyone gets stacked up because all the runs start happening everywhere. Nobody can really anticipate. Rod's gonna really fall back here. I think he's gonna actually play it safe. I think he's kind of recognizing that everyone's kind of all over the place on this, and maybe he's gonna get the engine cool.
Certainly
maybe get his head
interesting
cool
position
too.
to find yourselves in at this stage. Rod Flagg, who was your pole sitter, of course, he's running back down in 10th place. Not a good spot to be in here. In fact, he's dropped back even further. The 10 car all the way at the rear of this one. Trying to stay out of trouble, but perhaps not where he wants to be. Larry Camp has lost the draft in that Castrol GTX car. He is right towards the rear. In fact, he's lost the draft entirely. David Law also lost the draft. Joshua Banton, really the last car who's with this league group, so we have 13 cars really in this main draft train at the moment, Mark. And as things stand, Chirico really dominating again. Everyone's settled down. They've had their mad few laps here. We're on lap number 10. now it's time to calm down, get some laps in your books.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going on right now. I think at the start of the race, everybody was pressing real hard just to try to get to the front. Obviously, you want to be at the lead of the pack, but it looks like everybody kind of settled in line, and they're probably just going to log some laps here, and hopefully everything gets back going dicey again near the end. I kind of like the 2 wide and the 3 wide stuff myself. Watching these guys going single file ain't too fun for me right now.
Certainly not as fun as it could be, but we will actually ask you guys this question. We talked about fuel range on the first duel, of course, as unfortunately cautions meant we didn't really have to deal with green flag pit stops, but you are running 70% fuel in these duel races, so that's about 26, 27 laps perhaps on the tank.
Yeah, I think that's a accurate assessment. I think about 27, 28 laps, maybe even less than that. I thought in that first duel, I think we had a caution there at the. Oh my goodness! See, stuff like that. Whenever cars are kind of swerving back and forth, on the entry of the corner, the 48's real known for self-spinning. So hopefully you can kind of try to avoid that and keep guys from getting tangled up in this mess.
Some perhaps omens cast in this race as the 48 gets a big run and hits the 22 car. Their big push for Brandon Chaburko, leaving the 20 car on the outside, the 8 car behind him, and big wiggles as everyone just about lives. The 20 car goes down and contact.
Still wrecking.
Here they go. Round we have first caution will fly here at Daytona on lap number 12, and that one was, guys, I think a long time coming. We'll get the replay up for you now as we'll see exactly what happened there. And as you saw, the big contact between the 22 and the 48 started this off earlier on in turn 1, and then it was the cars in the high line avoiding the incident that caused it. The 8 gets in the back of the 20 car of Derek Walker, and Walker goes down, hits the 48 car. The 2 of them spin. The 20, unfortunately, gets away with it mostly, actually, guys. The 20 car almost escapes undamaged. He gets a bit of a tap to the rear, but what could have been a disaster for him ends up being everybody else's problem, as we see the 5 go around, the 82 go around, the 3 has got big damage, as does that 88 car, 89 car, even a Matt Quick. So in fact we have a car rolling as well. That's the 11 machine of Joshua Patterson. Big junk here at Daytona on lap number 12.
Oh yeah, whenever you have something happen like that at the front of the pack, it definitely gets a lot of people collected. But kind of going back and watching the replay, looks like I don't know if maybe Brandon Chaburko knew that he was kind of half on the apron, but it looks like whenever he got up into the corner, he kind of slid a little high, and that allowed Ball to kind of, I don't know if Ball might have thought that there was a hole there or what the situation might have been, but, a good save for Chaburko, but it just ended up costing a lot of other good drivers.
And I don't think the 20 is going to be real happy about that, because it was all pretty much over. Everyone just got shuffled around. Like, when you get the 48, get stuck on the apron like that, I mean, you kind of get in a weird spot, but I think everything was saved. But if you watch the 8 just comes flying up and doesn't want to lift and just kind of nails the bumper of the 20 and just kind of gets everything shuffled back around, and everyone's going to go spinning.
All the cars heading down to pit road now for service. Not far enough into the race for them to make it to the end here. We know for sure they'll have to make a stop under green if this goes to the flag, but as you guys mentioned, this is one of those typical... This really kind of, we see 2 or 3 kinds. Oh, contact to pit road! Big incident there on pit road. As we'll have a look at what's happened here. I believe this involved the number 12 of Corey Henry there, pulling into his pit box behind the 8 car of Dana Osborne. Replay for you on your screens there. And the Dark Horse machine of Corey Henry just doesn't see the 8 car coming across the nose as Dana Osborne is turned into the inside of his pit wall there. His pit crew running for cover as he hits the pit wall. Problems.
Yeah, that's going to happen whenever these guys come to pit road. We're all supposed to stay to the right, out there towards the grass. And looked like, Corey was kind of there to the left of the number 8 machine of Dana Osborne. And, Dana had to get to his box. And, he just kind of turned left. And, Corey wasn't where he needed to be.
We all kind of play games with each other, though. And you come down pit road like that, you're supposed to be at 60 miles an hour consistently through, not passing the pace car in there, but we all kind of speed up and slow down as we're going in there, so that's why we end up, one guy will just get barely to the inside of somebody, so, yeah, just everyone playing games, and a little game of chicken didn't work out so well for those guys.
It certainly did not. Well, we've had shenanigans on a racetrack, shenanigans on pit road. This could well be the duel of shenanigans. That's my word of the race for today. But as we were, I did indeed. But as we were saying, this race has certainly been a bit more active. But we talked about the different. We really kind of see two main kinds of incidents in Superspeedway racing. We see the crash where someone makes contact, someone gets turned, and we see the field go up in a blaze of flames. And then we see those crashes where there's a bit of a wiggle, a bit of a mistake. Everyone collects themselves, and just like that incident, somebody else on a different lane panics and kicks off the incident. And it is really kind of one of those panic moments of people just not lifting off, when perhaps lifting off might have been a wise choice.
Yeah, I think the 8 machine probably could have lifted just a little bit.
Well, the 8 machine there was perhaps needed to check their outside lane and really work out. Of course, this one thing you guys know, being on pit road, you got to make sure you know when the car, if there's a car outside of you or inside of you, when they're pulling into their pit box, so you know when you can, of course. So knowing those boxes is very important for you, really.
You try to find that, when you're doing your warm-up laps, even just kind of take a look over to see where you're at. I mean, it stinks going in there. It's not quite as clear as it should. I know when I'm doing my paints, I try to make the pit crew guys, I try to bring my pit board to the top of the car so that's nice and it stands out a little bit more. I've, consistently had darker cars in the past, and that doesn't work so well for pit road because it just blends in with everything. So if some of these guys, they know that if they get some fluorescent orange or fluorescent green for parts of their cars that are pit crew guys, it's a little easier to see and spot that spot. A little contact under caution here. I don't know if the 10 decided to put into neutral there for a second or what, but backed up into the 8.
Red flag perhaps trying to save some fuel there on the racetrack as shutting down that engine, maybe, as I think Jaberko perhaps getting a little bit lost as well. Donna Osborne hitting something else now as well, so that is certainly making things interesting here at Daytona, as we are back under green flag conditions now. Green flag is out. Jaberko and Flag on the front row there. Behind them it's Glenn Hendrick and Dana Osborne. We are going once again 2 wide for the first 2 rows, back single file behind them as we are green on lap number 16.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, looks like Rod kind of, did a lot better job on that restart. He must have learned from his mistake there at the initial start of the race. But as I say, it looks like everybody's ditching him, and the Pontiac Grand Prix is going to go back to the back again.
He did, Rod did exactly what Jaberko did on the first start of the race, though. He kind of tried to roll it a little bit, anticipated the green, and jumped it basically to get the momentum going. But Jaberko's pretty good at anticipating that too, and anticipating somebody rolling it on the top. So I think he got on the gas there pretty quick and saved it.
So he did. First 7 rows, really all single file right now. Back to the number 3 car of Paul Savant, and behind them Derek Walker on the outside lane with the 12 car there of Corey Henry. Those two that were involved, Henry of course involved in the incident. Rod Flag pulls back out again, gonna get a big shot from the number 20 car, see if they can make a momentum towards the front, but Flag looks like he might drop to the inside lane. Is he brave enough to keep it out there as they'll pull up past those cars on the inside line? The 33 car, Larry Camp, Matt Quick on the inside. Dana Osborne going to come up and join them. Osborne got some rear damage on that car as well, so that's that contact we saw from pit road, Dana Osborne sporting. But we're going to go 3 wide here in race number 2 as car pulls to pit road. I believe that was, not sure who that was. We'll look back. That's the 18 car, but we are 3 wide heading here through the tri-oval into the first and second corners. 3 wide racing. It's not even halfway, boys. Perhaps a little too soon.
I think, whenever the Dana Osborne, the number 8 Budweiser machine, pulled out in front of that pack, it kind of had to check Rod up a little bit, and Derek and I can't tell who that is behind them, but it looks like they just kind of ended up shooting out there to the 3rd lane, and looks like they was kind of making some progress. They was real tight on each other. Daytona's a lot narrower than Talladega, so I'm surprised that they was able to get away with it without any big chaos.
Well, I was going to say, like, the 20 and the 15, so you had Derek Walker, you had Corey Henry, and then you had Rod Flag leading that pack. I was about to say, like, that's a really good trio for this race, because those guys worked really well together, and with Rod Flag in front of that, I think that would have worked out really well, and I think they would have easily got one of them up into the front and lead a lap or two.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know what the 8 was really even thinking there. That was I think that was poor timing. And then you get in that spot where, Rod goes, okay, do I, decide to start pushing the 8 or do I try to get around him? And then there was miscommunication between that pack where Derek Walker goes, well, no, I don't want to push Dana Osborne. He went out to the outside, and that's what caused it. And, well, look what happens. They all just end up back of the pack.
Yeah, they certainly have, as it's Traburco from Hendrick, from Quick, Camp, Osborne, Servant, Ball, Harrington, Walker, Flag, Henry, Stewart, Monsalves, Law, and Patterson. Patterson, actually in this group, David Law, he's on pit road. He's pulled that car in. He's coming for a stop in that Mid-South Sim Racing Club machine. Not going to be out on the track here. Not what he needs to have happen, but he's coming for a stop. We didn't really expect him to need a pit stop here. He might be pulling that car in and parking, we think, guys. But the 48 car of Josh Ball, he's going to pull to the outside. The 20 car behind him, Derek Walker, maybe get his outside line moving again because things have calmed down for this race.
Yeah, they kind of calmed down a little bit. I see Derek Walker in the 20 machine. It looks like he's been kind of up there at the outside ever since this restart. And, I think he's a guy that you definitely want to see pushing you in the mirror. He's kind of like a lot of us. He doesn't like to just ride around. He definitely wants to try to make something happen to get up to the front. He's going to use whatever he can, cars, lane, or whatever, to make that happen to where he can get up there and lead this pack.
Certainly is, as the 8 and the 3 getting hooked up a little bit further back. They're in 4th, 5th and 6th place at the moment. Going to see if they will make a move here. It's Dana Osborne, and that is the 3 of Paul Servant. They're not pushing yet, but Osborne looked like they were going to go, as the 33 car tried to go as well. Larry Camp pulling back to the inside line, and the 8 and the 3 going to start that charge now on the outside. Lap 22 here off 50. Not really time to go yet, but it's worth a try.
Well, I was looking towards the back while you guys were talking about the front there. I just noticed the 11 and the 48 got into each other. I'm trying to see if the 48 got a little bit of damage from that, because it looked like they made some pretty solid contact. They just got damage all around his car, on the right side, left side, back. So I think some old incidents at the same time, but it was kind of a weird move. I think the 11 car moved up a little bit, and 48 wasn't anticipating.
48 nearly making another error there. Things are very entertaining a little bit further back, as this front group forming up into a good pack here again. And the 21 looking like they're going to go for a move here, as the 22 of Traburco blocks again, as congestion in the tri-oval now. Things a little hairy once again in Super Duel number 2.
Yeah, it's getting a little crazy from a few drivers here. It looks like the outside lane, is trying to get something forward and try to make a push to the front. But, unless Dana gets somebody directly in front of him, Dana's got quite a bit of damage. So I don't know if they're going to be able to make something happen on the outside lane with him leading the pack.
It's awfully difficult. You get that much. You get that back spoiler pushed up, and I really hate having that, because it seems like when you don't have the full fuel load like we're having now, you don't have all that weight pushing down, all that weight of the fuel pushing that spoiler down. So it seems like when you have any spoiler or rear end damage, when we have the small fuel loaded, you feel it about twice as much. And so in a case like this, he's probably down to, 9-10 gallons already. I mean, that thing's going to be a couple inches higher than it was when he's got a full tank, so he's feeling it.
Certainly is at the moment, as things get a little bit broken up there on the outside. Osborne still leading, but it looks like the 3 and the 20 want to try and find a way past, as they are going to dump Dana Osborne and go around the outside. We're going to go 3 wide again. The 33 and the 82 on the low side. The 3 and the 20 on the outside. The Osborne in that sucker hole in the middle, going back with not much to do about it. Somebody doesn't want to work with Osborne, as the 20 car dives to the bottom, dumping the 3 and the 8 on the outside. And it's a party of who wants to be picked last.
There's nothing more frustrating than when you're trying to push a lineup and then you see that the guy in front of the line and
got him in the left rear.
Big junk here at Daytona, and it's lap number 25. We're going to have a quick replay of what happened there, as Dana Osborne involved in an incident there, and it was the 48 of Josh Ball turns Osborne down the track. Osborne clips it, comes back up again, contact with the 12 car, and a surprisingly small incident for what could have been hugely dramatic.
Yeah, there could have been a little bit of gamesmanship going on right there. The 48 probably could have lifted a little bit, but I'm sure Dana was just trying to do everything he could to get down and fill that hole. And I don't think maybe Ball might have knew what Dana's plan was going to be. But prior to that little wreck right there, what I was going to say was the Paul Servant, the number 3 machine, and Dana Osborne, the number 8 machine. They're definitely teammates. And I think whenever they was going 3 wide right there, I don't know if maybe I don't know if the 3 was going to try to get in front of Dana maybe, because Paul Servant's car is clean, and like I was saying earlier, whenever Dana was out there leading that line, with all that damage, I didn't think they was going to be able to go anywhere. So they might have been trying to work something out, and I think the 20, kind of juking them all out, might have kind of affected that.
Certainly a chaotic first half to duel number 2 here at Daytona International Speedway. We are on lap 26 of 50. We're going to have a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few moments' time for the green flag. They can make it to the end from here, so it's on.
More than impressive, I have to say. I mean, the track is identical to the real track. I was blown away how realistic it is. Every little bump, every little spray paint, everything is exactly like you were there at the track. It was a great experience. This is a warm-up lap now. Tires to get warmed up. The engine. Breathe a little bit here when you go through that little bump there. And then it's flat pretty much all the way through here, just about. Hard braking. This is the slowest part of the track. And then I've done, I did many races in Formula 3, Formula 2. And then I did the very last race they did there in Group C in 1983 in the 956 Porsche. That's when Beloff got the lap record at the 6:11. I think I was second on the grid with the 6:14 or something, which was, I mean, those cars were awesome around there, of course, like any car is, you know, that speed. And this is the corner of all corners here, the Schwerenkreuz. Flat all the way into it. And then trail brake all the way into the apex here. And then hard at it again, get good speed down the hill here. Mega fast down this hill here. Just jump from one apex to the next. Gotta be super precise here. I mean, it's almost exactly like the real thing. So, I mean, it is certainly realistic enough to get past the very, you know, a lot of the initial hurdles you have when you try to learn to drive a race car, you know. So, I mean, I think it's an excellent tool to learn how to race for sure, or learn to drive a car on a racetrack.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Rachel Whiteford joined by Jay Wright and Mark Jorgensen Jr. here in the booth. We're going to go back to green here on lap number 29 of 50. Everyone's fueled up. They've got tyres on those race cars, so we're going to the end if they can keep it in one piece. It'll be Brandon Treberco on the front row with Matt Quick. Behind them, it's Glenn Hedrick, Derek Walker, Dan Harrington, Josh Ball, and the rest of your field forming up now. Going green this time by. Will they make it to the end, boys?
Oh, absolutely not. No, not a chance. I mean, you know, Brandon's going to do what he does and block the lane and get the momentum, which he should, being the leader. But I think like that first caution that we had, I think that's probably going to stack some guys up, and there's going to be some big junk. And I think whenever the big junk happens, I think a lot of guys are going to be fuming.
It certainly will be as the pace car makes that long left-hand turn, and we go green flag racing here at Daytona, and it's a good start by Brandon Treberco. Not so good. 89 Matt Quick as the 21 car will go. Glenn Hedwick with the 22 car. The 22 car pulls to the top there. Treberco already on it, trying to control these lanes. He's pulling them forwards, and he's going to dump them and kill that momentum, guys. This is exactly what you've been saying he does. He is trying to command this race.
Yeah, he's really good at it. I mean, he's doing a heck of a job.
He's got to be careful with that, though. Like, I don't see, this is going to be a mess here because he's going to keep cutting down. He's killing his own momentum, personally. I think he's killing it. See, then, yeah, there you go. Matt Quick's going to shuffle right across. I think if he would have stayed in the bottom that entire time, I think they would have had the speed at the bottom like that, and he would have kept the lead. Because he's going to go for it here. I guarantee you, within the next lap, he's going to make a move and try to get the lead back.
It's very, very interesting here at the front as Treberco might want to pull back out to the outside again as the 21 car will go. Treberco goes as well, but going to get blocked off by the 21 car. And Treberco is stuck there on the inside lane. 21 car going to be alongside him now. Will they get the run in the 89 car? Treberco's not hooked up there with Matt Quick, so that Grumpy Cat and other assorted meme machine is going to be sitting a little bit...
Squatty Potty.
Notice the Squatty Potty sponsor, but there you go. The Squatty Potty number 89 Chevrolet. As out comes Treberco as we thought he would. And to the outside lane, we now have a strong outside line as he goes back in again. As always pinned under the apron. I don't think he can decide where he wants to be, guys.
I think he was anticipating maybe Matt coming up to possibly put a block on him and open up that bottom. Like I said, the bottom is definitely the preferred lane here at this track with this setup and weather, and that I think that was just a little mistake on his part.
It certainly was, and it's getting very interesting here at the front as the 21 car pulling to the front. Glenn Hedrick going to try and take the lead away from Matt Quick in the 89 Squatty Potty Chevrolet SS, and it's never going to get old saying that sponsor. The 20 car behind him of Derek Walker doing his best to push this outside line along with the 3 and the 12 cars. Of course, that is Paul Servant and that is Corey Henry. Outside line not looking as strong as it has been so far, Mark. They've just broken up a little bit, but Treberco, from having dropped back to 4th, he's managed to weasel his way somehow back into 2nd, and he's back on the outside line now, and he drops back down again, and this guy has ants in his pants or what?
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that's constantly up on the wheel trying to make something happen, but I'll definitely say this, with all the games that has taken place up near the front, it's definitely bunched this pack up. I'm surprised some guys didn't get lined up and just made a huge run and try to maybe make that third lane do something with all them guys making all those moves and playing games at the front.
This is certainly boding well for some incidents coming up, Jay, at the moment, as these guys are all over the place. Can they keep this up for much longer?
I don't think so. I just want to say, none of these guys are teammates. There's nobody here in this group that they're on the same team. There's nobody here that wants to work with each other, so there's no coordination. I have a hard time believing that they're really even in the same radio channels and stuff, so when you don't have any coordination like that, you're gonna start running into each other, and Chaburko's doing a good job with moving lanes, and he's one of the best at recognizing where his car is and when he can slide into a spot. He's looking almost a little bit rusty. There's been about 3 or 4 times where I feel like he should have been bumper hooked and turned.
That's almost a certainty at this stage, as we've got cars trying to find a way to the outside. Chaburko pulls to the outside as well, as the 8 and the 20 start to make a run here. Chaburko might well dive to the outside for this one, as Dana Osborne gets dumped on the outside. The 20 pulls back in line. Derek Walker doesn't think there's much to go for in this position. Chaburko once again looking to that outside lane, looking for the opportunity to make it work, but just making sure he locks his spot in place. Doesn't want to go too soon or alone. He's going to try and hold on to this one, as Dana Osborne making a good move on his own on the outside lane there. The 20 car is going to pull back out. The 21 car coming with him. 54 car also going to come with this one as well. That is Brandon Cruz-Monsalves as he tries to get some momentum building. Chaburko needs to pull out, maybe pull these guys up to them, Mark.
Well, it looks like these 4 guys on the outside. Looks like you got Dana Osborne in the 8. Looks like you got Derek Walker in the 20. You got Glenn Hedrick in the 21. And I think Brandon Monsalves is a little bit too far back. But yeah, there he goes. I mean, look at him. I mean, Brandon Chaburko sees that run coming and going to try to make something happen. Going to maybe do a little pinch
contact
right
there with the 89 car. 22 car very nearly got turned.
Yeah, like Jay was saying, I mean, if he doesn't pay attention, if Brandon Chaburko doesn't pay attention to what he's doing, I mean, he's liable to turn himself.
He's got it, and Dana might have it here too.
And Dana does as well. The 2 of them are clear. And that leaves the 20 and 21 cars on the outside lane, feeling a bit lonely, but Dana Osborne and Brandon Chaburko back to the front here in race number 2. We are on 14 laps to go now. This is when it all went wrong in heat number 1 for the first duel. This is duel number 2. This is the outside line deciding positions. Of course, we know Rod Flag has secured 2nd place. So this is for 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th, and backwards in this race. These guys are going to have to try and find where they can fit into this one. Right now, Rod Flag is working his way forward. He's back there in the 6th place on the inside line. So good secure spot after some very shoddy restarts from him. But things looking strong if these guys can try and not kill each other. But that could be a tall order at the moment, boys.
Yeah, and obviously, with the latter stages of the race, you definitely don't want to kill each other. But I'll be absolutely surprised if these guys aren't in the same team speak with each other. Trying to make some deals and try to form something up. If they did, I definitely see everybody just trying to team up against Brandon Chaburko. And if that's the case, we're going to see a lot of wild and crazy stuff from the 22 machine.
That's it. The conversation that these guys would be having is, how do we get Brandon out of this? Ooh. 48 around?
48's had a problem. We'll have a quick look what's happened to them. He just grabs the apron off turn number 2. We'll try and show you the replay there. He got loose coming off the corner. You see a puff of tire smoke there. That car just gets a little bit loose. He has to chase it down the racetrack. Pulls to the inside lane. Gets himself... No, he's pulled off the track.
Looks like he might have been blown up. I think he blew up.
He could have blown up. I don't think he
he's
did.
Still on the apron.
He's got like he blew up.
I think he blew
big
up.
Enough.
Wow.
On showing the replay there, you see that puff of smoke wasn't tire smoke. Oh, it was. You're right. That came from the exhaust pipes. That was the 48 car blowing up here. Josh Ball is out. He will start at the rear on the outside lane. Josh Ball's race is done.
Well, that makes my pick
surprisingly so. Overheating a major problem here, boys.
Yeah, good pick there, Jay. Looks like Brandon Chaburko. Hopefully he does everything right and he can come through for my pick.
Well, looking back to the front is Brandon Chaburko from Matt Quick, Dan Harrington, Derek Walker, Rod Flag, Glenn Hedrick right now. Paul Servant behind that too. He didn't make it to pit road. Unfortunately, Josh Ball could not make it to his box. He will unfortunately be running very slowly onto pit road. Could be day done for Josh Ball. not the way he would have wanted it to end, but, well, he is driving a Lowe's car, and fate had to kick in at some point.
Yeah, it looks like that red vest machine finally bit him. You know, all the previous times he's ran that car, you know, he'd done really well and won the race. And I think there was kind of some trash talking going on back and forth during the week, maybe just a day or two ago. And looks like that red vest machine looks like he's going to be loaded up and headed back to the shop.
It certainly does, as we have now 10 laps to go. This time by the stripe now, 10 laps, and this is where things will get big. 10 laps to make those moves you need to get going, so it's going to take a few laps, of course, to set things up, guys, but we are starting to see a charge forming on the outside lane. We've dropped a lot of cars here. We really have this top 9 running together here, as we have 4 on the outside, 5 on the inside. Things very balanced here. This is probably one of the best opportunities for the outside line to make some moves.
Yeah, they're all just going to have to try to communicate, do something on Brandon Chaburko. You know, I think it's going to be Brandon's race to lose.
He seems to be just locked in. Like this is kind of the Brandon Chaburko of old, where he just gets locked in and says, you know what, this is my race to win, and I'm not.
Wow.
But that's classic
Contact
old
on the racetrack,
right
actually.
there.
We just saw that. The 89
he's just
car.
Keep moving up.
Oh, he's going to keep riding him up.
You know he's yelling on that radio. Oh,
this is definitely getting very tense, guys, at the front of this race. As Chaburko putting his elbows out really on this racetrack. He's been forcing those elbows out, wants to make some room for himself, and he doesn't care who gets in the way doing so. It's only the reactions and the spatial awareness, really, that 21 car of Glenn Hendrick really protecting him there from wrapping himself into the outside barrier. But Chaburko's got himself some breathing room, which is what he wanted. The outside line's really falling apart here. 2 cars left on the outside. It's a 3 car of Servant and the 21 car of Hedrick, but this is definitely getting a bit more exciting than we needed.
Yeah, but you know what I was going to say, Rachel, is you know, whenever Brandon put that block on 21 and Paul, you know, kind of rode them up high. I mean, you know, look, guys, they're all the way at the back, what, 7th, 8th position it looks like. So I don't know. Like I said, these guys just got to get together and try to make something happen. But you know, obviously they got to try to make some moves on the 22 machine or do something.
Things starting to form up now as the 20 car and the 12 going to start to move now. It is the Dark Horse Racing Team, guys, going to pull together, get something moving here, but no one's coming with them yet. The 21 car is going to jump up too. It's time to get moving here at Daytona. Lap number 44 will start, this time by the stripe. There'll be 7 to go here at Daytona, and they're moving up now. What they need is to get more of these cars in this outside line, really dump Chaburko, and they will have a chance to make a difference here in this race. The 20 car of Derek Walker going to try and get our side draft moving. The teammates working together here. Time for them to hook up and get going. This is obviously a planned move, Jay. They're really trying to push this one.
Yeah, 2 teammates finally got together here, and there's not a ton of teammates working together in this race, but I mean, this is a perfect situation. You're going to have to go here. You're going to get around Chaburko. You're going to have to make it happen now, because as it winds down, Chaburko's going to make that, you know, the boxing out, it's going to be even more wide, and more than likely that's going to cause a wreck, and it's going to cause a caution, and he'll be out in front. So the time is now, and he's going to make these sketchy moves like that.
Oh, and Derek ain't going to put up with it. I mean, it's late in the going. No. You know, the 20 machine, I mean, he ain't going to have none of it. So I think it's going to get pretty wild. Hopefully it doesn't end in caution. But, yeah, the DHI guys are working pretty good on the outside. And I think if the 22 machine keeps making those moves, they're going to try to force a 3-wide middle maybe.
That could certainly happen at this stage. Out here, trying to command both lines, low and high here, as the clock runs down in race number 2. Brandon Chaburko, he wants the win here. He wants that 4th starting position, 2nd row on the outside line here in the Superspeedway 500. And it's looking like his race to lose at the moment, but everybody else ganging up on him now, as there are 8 very angry race cars behind that 22 Pontiac. Can he get a chance to protect this one? The outside line not looking strong, Mark. Oh, you know, sorry, Rod is the Pontiac. I always thought you would talk about the Ford at the front. I got very confused.
It's a twofold thing, as you know, the 22 is moving up, but you'll notice that like nobody's even really close in the top lane, so he's not necessarily pulling him for the moment. He's recognizing that the 89 is probably really hot and needs to get some air to him. So as a double fold, he wants to keep that 89 behind him, but wants him to be able to push at the same time.
This is it, forming up now. The outside forming up hard here as the 20 car, the 12, the 54 and the 3 really getting some momentum moving now as it's 4x4. This is their best opportunity to really put the pressure on Brandon Traberko. Can he hold on? This is what they're going to have to try and find out now as the laps are really running down. 4 to go at this stage and they're making some ground. Can the squatty potty number 89 get to the back bumper of the 22 car? He needs a good push here, or is he deliberately not pushing? We'll have to see what's happening. The 22 car, they're pulling back that lead. The outside line really not got that power it needs yet, but it's 3 on the inside, 2 on the inside now. Traberko to the outside lane. He's going to stay up there for now, but he drops back down again. Traberko commanding this race. When will be that one mistake he makes that cost him this race? We don't know, but right now he's doing everything he has to do to stay up front.
Yeah, the 20 and the 12, I mean, they're doing an absolute good job right here, but it looked like the drivers right behind them, I mean, the outside lane just wasn't tightly bunched together. I mean, you get real tight on each other's bumpers. I mean, you just create a big surge in momentum, and it looks like the DHI guys right here are falling to the back.
Well, the 82 just kind of, I don't think, held his line very well there and just kind of came up just barely enough to get the 20, and I think the 20 got a little bit of damage, then moved back, and that's what killed his momentum, and I saw Derek key up on the all speak there, and I'm sure he had a few choice words to say for the 82.
2 laps to go now, and there's lap traffic up ahead. Will they catch it in time? We do not know, but 3 cars forming up in the outside lane. It's the 54 car, Brandon Christmas-Avis, the 20 and the 12, trying to do what they can do here, but it's looking like it could be a little too late. The lap traffic will be a factor, we think, because a big defensive move by Traberko, doing what he can, and he'll see the white flag this time by. Big attack coming on the outside lane is 3 cars now. Will they get some help from the 3 car of 7 behind them? This is going to be a critical moment for Traberko. Can he hold on? Matt Quick looking like he's ready to lunge here. He could pull out and go with his outside lane, make something happen. It's a risky choice, but he's got to try something. Lap traffic will be too far ahead. The white flag has been seen. This is it. 1 lap to go. There. And he's missed his opportunity to make that move. The 54 car pulling a bit of an overlap here. And it's not going to be enough. We don't think the 22 car looking strong.
Like, wow,
as they drop back. They might actually catch this, but this could help Brandon Traberko, a car to pull with him as they're weaving, they're ducking, they're diving into 3 and 4 for the final time now. Brandon Traberko, Matt Quick. Behind them is 2 wide, 3 deep, as no one's going to get a chance to get to him.
Yeah,
Brandon Traberko will come home with the flag in SuperDuel number 2 here at Daytona. Brandon Traberko will take the flag. Matt Quick, Dan Harrington, Glenn Hedrick. And now it goes all wrong.
And they jump.
There they go.
A fantastic end to the race. Not quite as dramatic as your ending in Super Heat number 1, guys, but a great race out at the end. Very tactical racing by Traberko, controlling the race for the entire duration.
Yeah,
Classic
he did a
Traberko.
real good job, yeah.
What a fantastic end to this one.
I mean, when I say classic Traberko, I mean when he gets focused, kind of like I said, a couple laps ago, man, it's almost impossible to get around him. And even with, you could tell like when people were plotting against him, he didn't actually have any help. He just controlled everybody behind him. 12's not happy apparently. I don't think the 12 and the 20 are happy.
A very exciting end to the motor race here today as 22 car going to burn him down on the start-finish line here at Daytona. Brandon Traberko celebrating in his quick lane Ford Fusion after a fantastic, dominant tactical race from Traberko. As there's some disagreements we believe in the communications at the moment. We're hearing over the radios. These guys are not entirely happy with some of the antics we've seen on the racetrack today, but in what was possibly more exciting race of the 2 duels, guys, this one was busy.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of got some upset drivers, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm trying to listen to some of the communications right now, a lot of upset people, and I don't know, it's not really a one incident. I just think just everyone, like I said, there was no teammates up there, so nobody had any coordination, and so everyone was running into each other and kind of screwing each other over.
We're going to go to our final race results, then we're going to take a quick commercial break before we get some driver interviews and the results. Coming home with a victory after a dominant tactical race, Brandon Chaburko will start in 4th place on the outside lane in your Superspeedway 500 next week. Starting behind him in 6th place will be Matt Quick. Back in 8th place will be Dan Harrington. In 10th, Glenn Hedrick. In 12th, it's Monsivalis. In 14th, Paul Servant. In 16th, Derek Walker. In 18th, Corey Henry. 20th, Rod Flagg. In fact, it won't be because he's starting in 2nd. And 20th, Roger Stewart. 22nd, Joshua Patterson. 24th, Larry Camp. David Law in 26th. 28th is Josh Ball. And Dana Osborne, finishing last here, will round out your field in 30th. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few moments with driver interviews, so don't go away.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the tire model? Nothing?
Welcome back to the Superspeedway Cup here on LSRTV. Rachel Whiteford, Jay Riot, Mark Jorgensen Jr. here in the booth, bringing you post-race driver interviews. And we're going to start off with your race winner, Brandon Chaburko, coming home today in 1st place. We'll start in 4th place in next week's Superspeedway 500. Brandon, a very tense race, but commanded from the start. Some sketchy moves, we'll be honest, but at the same time, a tactical victory.
Yeah, for sure. It was an okay race for us. I'm not a huge fan of this A car, if I'm being honest. It seems like there's a little bit too much. The leader has a little bit too much of an advantage in comparison to the guys that are in the back of the pack. Definitely a good win for sure, but ultimately not too big of a fan of running the A car this season.
Of course, it's been a very busy race for you. Looking like you've got good potential for the 500 next week?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good momentum booster for sure in regards to going into next week. Really wanted the 21 for the series, but unfortunately Glenn didn't want to give it up, so hoping I can make the 22, my own number and brand and kind of move away from the 3 and move on with the Ford.
Well, best of luck for next week, and thanks for joining us. Congratulations again for winning in Super Duel number 2.
Alright, thank you.
Next up, we've got Joshua Patterson joining us today. Finished in 11th place. Busy race for you, Joshua?
I'm eating Cheez-Its right now. What's up?
He's eating Cheez-Its right now, and he wants to know what's up. Well, your race result is up. You're going to be starting back in 22nd overall. Not the best result perhaps you could have wanted, but again, qualifying perhaps not as important when it comes to a long race like the 500.
Yeah, just gotten a couple wrecks there and just slow at the end there.
Well, hopefully you'll have a better run in the 500. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And finally, we have Rod Flag, who came home today in ninth place. It was... we also have Quick. Sorry, yes, we do. We have Matt Quick. We'll go to you first. The Squatty Potty 89 machine came home today in second place. Very nearly had chance for the win here today, of course, Matt. Not quite got it, but a good starting spot.
It wasn't too bad. Like Brandon was saying about the A car, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of suck, and there was a lot of squeezing and stuff like that all out there today. We saw the top line trying to squeeze in a little bit, and I was just trying to hold the bottom line, and Chberko was able to get me on the outside there, and I mean, that was basically the race, 10 laps to go. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of movement up front. Other than that, I was just trying to hold that yellow line.
Well, of course, it was certainly on the difficult side, but you did manage to come home with a good result in the end, so best of luck for next week.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for joining us. And Rod Flag, finally. Rod, ninth place, your Pontiac seemed to run out of horsepower towards the end. You were running up front for most of the race, but just not quite the performance you'd have liked.
Yeah, I mean, we had a tough start there. It seemed like the 22 jumped that restart on the start of the race, and just kind of went down. We ended up getting some damage there on, I think, the second wreck of the race. We missed the first one, but it just sucks that we had that start the way it was, because I think we've been pretty clear about our starts that you wait for the green flag. There seemed to be some real momentum gained, but can't be too bitter. I'm still starting P2 in the 500 next week. I really would have liked to get some of those bonus points that were out there, and just a little disappointing there, Rachel, but appreciate you having me earlier in the first duel. You did a tremendous job helping me along, and again, didn't have nothing to lose tonight, so we're good.
Absolutely, of course, you are starting in second place on the front row in the Superspeedway 500 next week, and well, hopefully going to be a good race for you there. Hopefully we can find some spare parts for that Pontiac if anyone still makes any, and you'll have a great race.
Yeah, let's hope that. I think we're gonna be able to find. We're tending to figure out that the Chevy and Pontiac parts are interchangeable. So a lot of it's just logos, of course. So we'll take that number 10 Pontiac Grand Prix up to the front. And I got a call actually just here a few minutes ago from Lycos, and Lycos happened to say that we're hopefully sponsored for the 500.
Well, fantastic news for you.
That's good. I'm really happy for you, Rod.
Well, some final thoughts, hopefully, from our special guest commentators in duel number 2, Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Jay Riot. Guys?
Yeah, with what we saw tonight in the duels, I'm anticipating that the 500, with it being a long race, I'm sure it's probably going to be a lot of single file racing. There at the end of both races, kind of got a little wild and crazy with some blocking. I think we'll see that in the Superspeedway 500. But just to kind of cap off, what I want to say is, y'all LSRTV broadcasters do an absolute amazing job calling the race. Cisco do a heck of a job behind the scenes. It's kind of awkward, kind of being up there in that second duel, kind of calling it with you, Rachel and Jay, but man, I tip my hat off to y'all. Y'all do an amazing job.
So thank you for that, but you guys were fantastic today. We had a great bit of fun up here in the booth. We also had our special guest commentator in the first round. That was Rod Flag, so thank you to Rod as well for joining us. Well, it's been a fantastic set of duels here at... Oh, Jay, go on. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I don't know if I have too much to say. I just
you got a ton.
Because I do talk a lot. Kind of like Mark said. I think we'll see a little bit of single file action. I think that might get a little bit boring, and kind of like he alluded to, kind of tough to sit there and talk and make sure there's not a lot of dead air. And I think, granted, Mark and I seem to stumble over each other a little bit more than being able to be coordinated with each other.
Well, you did a fantastic job.
It's not like Mark and I finish each other's sentence. Come on, man. Sentence.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
We might be good teammates on the track, but in the broadcast booth, probably not.
Just stumbling over each other and just uncoordinated.
Right.
Cisco's sitting there sending
Don't
us
quit your day
message.
job.
sending this message like, quit talking over each other, guys. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Well, to put a final end in the bromance we've got brewing here in the broadcast booth, it's been a fantastic 2 duels here at Daytona in the Superspeedway Cup Series. Don't forget you can tune in same time next week for the Superspeedway 500. We're going 200 laps around here. Evan Pasoko will be back from playing with his monster trucks, and he'll be live in the booth with myself. Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern next week on Friday. So I've been Rachel Wyford. I've been joined by Rod Flagg, by Mark Jorgensen Jr., by Jay Riot, and of course, always in the production trailer, Francisco Scaramuza. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.